Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. By popular demand, we're going to be going through, quite a video. These so-called UFO whistleblowers. It's so interesting to me that someone would call themselves a whistleblower when none of them actually have any evidence. And you may be aware that we've done an entire series on these so-called UFO whistleblowers of the past, and there's some commonalities. They all tell fantastic stories. They all talk up their impressive credentials or resume. And I think that's because none of them have any evidence to talk about. And I, for one, am getting tired of UFO celebrity scumbags cashing in with people just telling stories that never have any evidence. If someone came to me, at least here at my show, and said, "Hey, I want to blow the whistle," and they had absolutely no evidence, I don't even think that I would platform them. But that hasn't stopped scumbags like George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell from continually pushing forward these kind of people. Of course, one of the most famous is Dave Grush, who said basically the gist of his disclosure was that there are interdimensional space monsters visiting Earth and murdering people. And what consequences did he face as a whistleblower? Well, none. He actually got a job working for a congressperson, helping him to find the interdimensional space monsters that are murdering people. And, I've called that congressperson's office asking for an interview, but he won't give me an interview because he's a fucking coward. And he knows that maybe hiring a former mental patient that's running around saying interdimensional space monsters are murdering humans was a bad idea if you're a serious congressperson. It's absolutely ridiculous. This whole thing is one big goddamn circus. And I, for one, the longer I'm here, I get a lot of flack for being like bitter and angry a lot. Yeah, I'm bitter and angry. Why do I have to continually it's just kind of this whole thing has become such a farce, and it's just kind of ridiculous that I have to come here to tell you that if somebody doesn't have evidence and they're making fantastical claims, maybe we shouldn't believe them. Maybe they should come back when they actually have evidence of interdimensional space monsters murdering humans, and they're willing to show us that evidence, not dance around classifications and, oh, I can't discuss that, or NDAs. There's always some excuse or reason why these people can't actually, spill the beans. In fact, there's a recent Reddit post where even the true believing morons on Reddit are starting to wake up and go, wait a minute, none of these guys actually have proof. They're just telling stories. Yeah, that's the game. That's the circus. Welcome to the circus. And you, my friend, are the mark. And a lot of people will say to me, well, I didn't give Jeremy Corbell or George Knapp any money. Did you click on their video? Did you watch it? Did you sit through those ads? You're the mark. You are the mark. And we are paying these disgusting, despicable UFO promoting scumbags. We're paying them with our attention. We'll take a moment to recognize some kind and generous friends already in the live chat, hearing the call of the goal. Yesterday we hit our goal, so I'm hoping tonight we will hit our goal. But yesterday was a nail biter, so come on, don't withhold and wait till the last minute. We just barely scraped to our goal last night at the very last minute, thanks to some last minute kindness. Hold on one second. Oh, geez. I thought an alarm was going off on my phone. No, that's an ice cream truck. My phone's in the other room. So, I guess I won't be hearing those much longer. Sure sign of the end of the season, I suppose. Chill Station 7 with 5 saying, dance, baby. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Much, much appreciated.
Raise the cash.
Here, I will welcome in the Kick Live chat as well. And we've got Collie Armstrong. Good to see you. Saying a wee fiver to get you started. Well, we will take it. And thank you, Collie Armstrong. Long time no see. I'm glad to see you back in the live chat. Welcome. And thank you so much for your previous support and your continued support.
Raise the cash.
All right. So in my last, let me see if I could find. Thank you, Collie Armstrong. In my last, Davina is why you met the goal. Yeah, maybe we should have them here, right? No toenail biter tonight, says Trolly Troll Troll with another one for the goal. That's 3 of 20. Let's get it there, friends.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
Apologize for my screen glitches. I even replaced the webcam, and jeez, it never ends, my friends. There's always some tech thing going on, but this is a live show. You get it warts and all. And welcome, Wick 3D. I was confused for a second. I thought you were chatting from the Twitter chat, and then I realized there is no Twitter chat tonight. Smash the like button. Spooky is reminding everybody. And yeah, back in the day, 5 pounds was a nice chunk of change. Yeah, remember? You could get all kinds of stuff for $5 if they didn't realize what you were stuffing in your pockets while you were paying for a few items. Remember that? All right, so in our last part one on this guy Dylan Borland, here's what you should know about this guy. He seems to have had a fairly, real, military and intelligence background, but he doesn't have any actual evidence of anything that he's talking about, which, one second, which is kind of troubling. I don't understand somebody that's willing to blow up their whole career making these claims, that they are. I don't understand somebody coming out and saying things like interdimensional space monsters are murdering humans on Earth, and then not having any evidence to back it up. It seems kind of stupid to me, right? It seems kind of childish that somebody would say, yeah, interdimensional space monsters. And to be clear, Dylan Borland didn't talk about it, interdimensional space monsters, but David Grush did. So, but still, it's incredible stories with no actual evidence. And what we know is that these so-called whistleblowers, they have completely, I've said it before, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, they have completely destroyed the entire meaning of the word whistleblower. It means nothing anymore. It means absolutely nothing, because somebody without evidence is not a whistleblower. I'm sorry to tell you that. And the fact that I have to tell you that is kind of stupid. And I'm looking for my George Knapp bumpers here. George Knapp is a complete and total scumbag grifter scam artist who has written whole books claiming that he has mountains of physical evidence that the book is based on. And then when pressed, it turns out he has no evidence. And some of my favorite of his fake stories are the Skinwalker Ranch stories, in which, everything from dino beavers to werewolves to shape-shifting monsters and dogmen are discussed. And there's never a shred of any evidence. So this Dylan Borland guy being pushed by Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp just follows the pattern. Here, let's take a look at the pattern.
She saw this standing on two legs, a wolf creature, a wolf standing in her yard, its paws crossed like this, leaning on a tree, staring back at her.
Great story, bro. Where's your evidence? Oh, trust me, bro. And then there was another Dogman story that I'm particularly fond of. These two clips came to me, or the three clips that we will play you about George Knapp telling porkies here, brought to us by Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post, who is the only mainstream reporter that gets this UFO story at all correct.
They come down this dirt road one night and they see two figures, humanoid-looking figures, standing up with their backs to the road and looked like they were smoking cigarettes. They had trench coats on, smoking cigarettes, standing out on the road. These guys figure, what are these fellas up to? So they're pulling up and they shining their lights on the guys, and they turn around and they were dogs.
That's right, smoking dogmen. No story is too ridiculous. And even though he always pretends that he has evidence for these things, it turns out he doesn't. Just like the Bob Lazar story, George Knapp is about as credible as a crackhead holding up a gas can asking you for gas money to get home. And I don't know, I grew up in the mean streets of Philly where it was very common. I lived on right near the Allegheny exit of I-95. So crackheads would gather there, and people from New Jersey and the suburbs who weren't familiar with crackhead scams would get off the highway to get gas at one of those two convenience store gas stations that were right on the Allegheny exit of 95. And they would get conned. They would get scammed constantly by a crackhead who had the forethought to hold up a gas can and claim that his car is back a few miles and he just needs to get some gas to get home. Can I get $5? And people would give the crackhead money all the time. I would watch it. I worked at one of those gas stations on the graveyard shift, by the way, long time ago. So George Knapp is as credible as one of those crackheads holding up a gas can, asking you for money to get home. He's just as believable. And when pressed on the Joe Rogan show, and by the way, kudos to Joe Rogan for finally asking somebody, is there actual evidence of this or is this just a story? He confronts George Knapp, and George Knapp has to admit he has no evidence for anything in his Skinwalker Ranch book. It's just a bunch of fucking stories.
But no evidence of any kind to back up any of these stories has ever been presented. George Knapp, who's built an entire career around stories of UFOs and the paranormal, and who was one of the authors of the Hunt for the Skinwalker book, was asked about evidence on the Joe Rogan show.
Because they weren't there
Is
with
there
cameras.
any evidence?
Like for the first 20 months when the rancher is there, they don't have any evidence because he's not a paranormal investigator.
At this point, Knapp begins telling more stories about UFOs on and near the ranch. Rogan then interrupts and asks again.
Again, is there any evidence?
No, not really.
Oh.
If you're looking for physical evidence and solid proof, and they don't have it.
Oh. Knapp saying there's no proof or evidence is quite strange, considering the book Knapp co-authored says this: "We obtained an intriguing body of physical evidence to support many of the accounts described in the book." Okay, so where is that intriguing body of physical evidence?
It doesn't exist because George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell sell fake stories to stupid people. And you know, it's bad enough that George Knapp has been telling fake stories for 30 plus years now, principal among them the Bob Lazar fairy tale. It's bad enough that George Knapp has been telling fake stories. And George Knapp has infected the whole UFO space with disinformation, misinformation, completely fake information, completely fake stories, evidence-free stories, stories that are worthless. And by the way, if a story has no evidence whatsoever, it doesn't pass the test of falsifiability. What does that mean? That means it's worthless. The story with no evidence, these stories with no evidence whatsoever are worthless because a skeptic like myself cannot prove that the story is fake, but the person telling the story can't prove that the story is true, which means you're just at an impasse. Just take it for a story, I suppose, but it has no value. It doesn't move the needle forward, right? We're trying to get to disclosure. Well, good luck getting to disclosure with a bunch of fucking nutbags telling stories about dogmen and fucking smoking dogmen with cigarettes and telling stories about wolfmen and shit. Like, is that really gonna, you know, prove that aliens are visiting Earth and get you the disclosure that you want? CN is here with £1.99. Love the UFO shows. Screw those grifters. I agree. I have had enough. I have had enough of the grifters. And I'm kind of getting tired of it. And yeah, thank you, CN.
Raise the gas, raise the gas, raise the cash.
All right, let me just check in with the Kick chat as well. Welcome if you're chatting on our Kick.com chat. It's Kick.com Truth Seeker Show. And by the way, I'll be doing another Kick only stream in the very, very near future. I will announce when that will be tomorrow. And what I have decided to do is two things. I have decided to stop waiting on this Internet Insanity Circus show. Since we had such a good turnout for our first Kick.com exclusive stream, meaning we only streamed on Kick for that show. You could check it out on the Kick channel. If you're a member, I'll be downloading the VOD and uploading those to members and Patreon, so you'll still get to see them ad-free or whatever. I will be announcing the first Internet Insanity Circus show by the end of this week, and I will be doing another panel show sometime this weekend. I will announce that tomorrow. So we want to take a moment to recognize and welcome in the Kick Live chatters, Decaf 9551, To Be Flair, Winter Soldier, Scopely CFO. Big shout out. Doom WR Real is over there holding down the Kick Live chat. And I will be calling out kicks if there are 100 or more. Come on, guys, don't throw pennies at me. One kick is a penny. So if you actually send $1, I will shout it out. I can't be shouting out everybody's pennies. Though it is kind of funny throwing pennies at somebody, right? And I will check in with the Kick chat periodically to call out any subs or gifted subs. Charles FB is over in the Twitch chat, and Decaf 9551 is over in the Kick chat. Let's fucking go, says Chill Station 7. Yes, I totally agree. So thank you all for your kindness. I will put up my fair use banner. Some of these grifters like to file false copyright claims. What we're doing tonight is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We're critiquing the video we're sharing. This is covered under fair use and is allowable by law. This is further a transformative work because we'll have some animated backgrounds, and I'll be sharing the live chat comments on screen as we go through this video. I'll be discussing it with the live chat, offering my commentary and critique of the video. This is the textbook definition of fair use and is allowable by law. All right. Dan Burrish Crane is doing the rounds again. It's just a never-ending grift, rinse and repeat. Oh, is that guy really back? That's the guy who pretended that he was part of MJ-12 and he was working at Area 51, but then somebody checked on his employment records and found out he was a security guard at a Las Vegas casino while he claimed to be working with aliens at Area 51. Just a total bullshitter. He saw the Bob Lazar making money and decided to tack on to his story, even using S4 and parts of Bob's story in his own story. All right, so let me just share my screen. This is a rather longer video than the previous one. The previous one was only, 45 minutes? This one seems to be an hour and a half, something like that, I believe. Yeah, an hour and a half. So I'm not sure. And remember in the last one, they gaily redacted almost everything the guy said. Every time he mentioned a commanding officer or someplace he worked, redacted. Well, what are you blowing a whistle on if you're redacting every fucking thing the guy's saying, you losers? But I know why they're doing that. They're doing that because they don't want people to be able to fact check the things that he's saying. And we have to fast forward past his shitty music, because I believe he uses copyrighted music just to stop people like me from critiquing his shitty, piss poor, evidence-free, fake story videos. It's like, it's like Mother Goose. It's Mother Nap and Mother Corbell, right? Bedtime stories.
On the craft.
What is it that you saw and found out and can tell us about?
I only came for him because I sincerely believed they were going to die. Sucked. I think what we...
Oh, sorry. We have to fast forward past the music.
But mainly Arrow. And Arrow comes back and says, and I draw a nice picture of Bigfoot in a pretty Air Force uniform. Let's say Arrow comes back and says, hey, Dylan, you talking about Starbucks is unclassified. You talking about Bigfoot in that military uniform? That's TS, no foreign. You are never to say another word about that.
What is he talking about? Bigfoot in an Air Force uniform? What? What the fuck?
That's what Arrow did to me, and they classified everything I brought forward.
So you're working for BAE and for somebody else.
Yep.
for somebody else in the structure of,
Multi-agency special access program. Yes, sir.
and it's under the umbrella of a
Even the
private
Nutters
company.
debunked him.
The
Yeah.
private company is how they are getting us to work there, but it is all under the umbrella of that agency.
The information you had about these flying tic tacs that people are taking down, do you get that information through your work at BAE and that agency?
There were people who ended up working there with me who were brought into the legacy program whose lives were also destroyed.
Sounds
And they
believable,
believe, based
Stokely
off of what
CFO.
I was saying about what I experienced in my life, the triangle, what I knew that to be true at that point, they believe I was read into the program.
That sounds right.
And they believe that
DCAF
because I was having
9551.
the clearance issues and the VA issues and everything else, the financial, what they did to me,
Welcome,
they
Sam
were
Corbin.
experiencing it too. And there were multiple people who I was working with that were a part of what is conveyed as the legacy program.
So you're working at BAE.
The Legacy Program. This is UFO mythology, a long rumored program from the past where they were trying to back engineer alien technology. So interesting that he's using UFO mythology terminology, right?
For an agency, and on a coffee break or a smoke break, you confer with your coworkers and you tell them about something you've seen, and they start sharing information with you.
Yes, but not even all that openly, because people were still so freaked out about it. And this gets into something else, which is when I was there, and this is why, we talked to Dave, and I explained
David
this to
Grush.
Dave. Yep. One of the things that was very odd was, you're working 12 hours.
So when David Grush came forward and said that he talked to 40 other whistleblowers, this is one of them. Do all of them have a lack of fucking actual evidence? All 40 of them, like this guy does? Does the other 39 actually have any evidence? Or is it one big? It appears to me that this is one big circle jerk of UFO fans that happen to work for the government, jerking each other off, telling each other alien and UFO technology stories.
And it's middle of the night, 3 a.m. after working a 12-hour shift, 4th day in a row. You're just doing anything to stay awake. I remember we were talking about UFOs, and you talk about everything from football to baseball to movies to music. It's just, you're trying to stay awake. You're trying to get through the night or the day. And we were talking about UFOs, and Bob Lazar come up, and you're just talking normal talk.
Yeah.
And I remember I had talked about what I knew to be true, and I had gotten a pop-up message on my computer. It said, you're not supposed to be talking about this. To this day, aside from having gone to the IG and what was conveyed to me by my
Inspector
attorney,
General, he means.
to this day, technically, I have never gone an official, Dylan, here's what's happening. Do not do this. Here's why. It has been these subliminal pot shots, but there were multiple people that I was working with.
Yeah, if you have access to classified information and classified projects, you're not supposed to talk about those projects. That's sort of like implied.
That were well aware of the reality of this.
I think this guy washed out of intelligence circles because he was flapping his gums about everything that he knew about.
Subject. And
that's my personal opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
And considering where I worked, the finances that went into there, and how much money funneled through there, and how many programs we touched, that there were a number of people that were well aware of the reality of this situation. The UFO subject had been a part of quote unquote legacy programs.
Again, legacy programs, a key word.
Had gone to TDYs, had done it. But most of the people that were aware most of them were younger. Most of them had their careers destroyed, their lives destroyed. Most of them believed that me talking about what I was dealing with my clearance and all the problems I was dealing with the company and the agencies, they thought it was safe to talk to me about their own experiences in the legacy program.
They assumed you knew more than you were saying.
100%.
So it's almost like, it sounds like they put all the...
Again, one big circle jerk. No evidence. Just trust me, bro. I talked to the guys that are back engineering the aliens.
The bad eggs in one basket. It's like, all these guys knew too much and they're blabbing. We'll put them all over here with you.
Pretty much.
And was there surveillance of the employees? How did the information go to a higher up that would send you a message says, shut the hell up?
I mean, you're on an ops floor and, you have people from every agency you can think of in there, and you're on computer systems that are closed access, and there's government employees and contract employees from multiple different contract companies. And knowing what I know now, in hindsight, knowing the way that these legacy programs work, if you're not embedded in the company, you're coming as a government representative.
Why can't he name the program so that people can do FOIA requests? Why can't he name the programs? Just he's using UFO mythology lore and UFO mythology terms. Nothing new, nothing original. That's very suspicious.
TDYs, and knowing the government has TDY requirements depending on what agency you work for. Some of these people probably found their way over to TDY, and they had heard me talking about things that they thought they were far more important than they really are.
Yeah, and I just want to say that just because somebody works for the government doesn't mean they're not a UFO wackadoo. We can see Elizondo, wackadoo. Dave Grush, wackadoo. Eric Davis, wackadoo. Hal Puthoff, wackadoo. Gary Nolan, wackadoo. These are wackadoos that just so happen to either through contracts or direct hire somehow work for the government in some form. It doesn't mean that they're immune from being a true believer wackadoo who already believed this shit before they ever worked for the government, many of them. In the case of Puthoff, he was a high-ranking Scientologist for many years who claimed he got superpowers from taking Scientology courses before he ever worked for the government, I believe.
And thought that I shouldn't be talking about it.
You're just bullshitting with coworkers.
Pretty much just talking.
And they are with you. Is there somebody in there that's counterintelligence that was sent in there to see who's blabbing?
I would, towards the later end, I would bet so. At
that point, you're not filing reports or calling New York Times or raising hell.
No, to be honest with you, George, talking to the media was so ingrained into me and other people in the work we did that it
he
was
could
like
be a
persona
victim
non
of Yankee
grata.
Blue. I
If you went and
believe he
talked
could
to
be. Yeah.
anybody outside, like, you're a dead man.
You wouldn't have done it.
No. I mean, even whenever I felt that I had to, I was shaking. Even when I went to Senate, when I went to
Norman
Congress, I was
Bates.
shaking.
Yes.
Is this why your clearance was sort of put in limbo? It doesn't exist because you're saying things
They
you
just
shouldn't
want
be talking
attention.
about.
Yeah.
I think early on it was a mistake, and I talked with Dave Brush about this. I think early on it was a mistake. They were notified 6-7 months into it, and then from then on, they outright just did not care. They terrorized me. I mean, I would go into work. They were notified by multiple companies that they were
Telling him don't talk about classified projects is terrorizing him somehow, right? I mean, Evil Nurse Mark is here. Welcome, Evil Nurse Mark says, praise the redacted, praise the redacted, praise the redacted. Well, we can say it. Praise the cash, bitches. Thank you. Evernurse. I thought it was Evil Nurse before. Did you change it? Or was it always Evernurse and I'm remembering it wrong? But thank you, new YouTube member and new subscriber, Evernurse Mark.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
And we've got Tony Hugecock, which is my favorite YouTube user ID I've ever seen. Tony Hugecock, right? We got some real special people in our audience, and Tony Hugecock is one of them. He likes to announce right to everybody that he's got a huge cock, right? Thank you, Tony Hugecock. Big support tonight. Here's my tithe, Stephen. Being able to write a message here is terrible. So many filters. Knock these grifters down a peg. I believe I will, just for you. And just for you, we'll do a special praise to cash because you're making it rain up in here. Thank you, Tony Hugecock. All right. And then also we've got Starlight Warrior, who's been a member for 5 months. Every once in a while, when you're a member long enough, they give you a free super chat here. So, hey, milestone people, great to be a part of this great channel. Really enjoy your work, Stephen, and the crowd you have. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you found us. Starlight Warrior's been a big supporter. 5 months of membership. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and helping us, of course, to...
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
We're praising it tonight. Ever Nurse Mark reminding us we also have another wackadoo, Tom DeLong. He didn't work for the government. He was too busy making shitty songs for 12-year-old girls. And his music career is in the shitter, as is his UFO career. But thank you, Ever Nurse Mark, for another one.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
We are racing towards the goal. A good clip here. So we thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Thank you, Evernurse Mark, big supporter. Does Jeremy pay these guys and share ad revenue in exchange for their stories, or are they just nut jobs being taken advantage of? You know, in the case of David Grush, he was literally a former mental patient. And I think that Ross Coulthart, News Nation, and everybody else that got a piece of the money. And by the way, I can prove that the Dave Grush evidence-free story generated millions of dollars in ad revenue. I actually have a spreadsheet. I keep forgetting to get it together and show it to an audience. Maybe I'll do just a quick video, a 20-minute video, showing how people can make millions of dollars in YouTube ad revenue with somebody telling stories that has a good resume and a good background with absolutely positively no evidence whatsoever, just stories. And see, this sets a very dangerous precedent, because when the grifters see that all you need is somebody telling stories, he doesn't need any evidence, just get a good former military guy or former intelligence guy to tell the stories, it becomes a blueprint for future grifting. And I think that's what we're seeing here with this Jason Sands is a fake whistleblower. This fucking guy is running around telling people he got sent on alien assassination missions, right? No evidence whatsoever. This guy, Dylan Borland, no evidence whatsoever. And then Greer's got his own crop of so-called whistleblowers. All of them are a bunch of fucking wackadoos whose stories came crashing down almost as quick as they told them. And by the way, this guy's stories are all coming crashing down. People are looking into his claims at people that are former military and current law enforcement and calling bullshit on him. And I will share one of the best breakdowns on this clown tonight on the show. But thank you, CN, for your kindness, generosity, and support. If you ask me, these guys aren't getting paid. They're attention-seeking lunatics. Maybe they'll get a book deal or a documentary deal eventually, or they'll be speaking at UFO conferences telling their evidence-free stories. There's always a reward for the storyteller. And we've seen interesting ways that the facilitators of the storytellers find a way to pay these guys. But thank you, CN.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, we're going forward at a very good clip today. We're already at 7 of 20 for the goal. Let's keep the support going, and let's keep the video going.
Not housing my clearance correctly. Multiple companies tried to pick me up. Multiple companies said they would give me a pay raise.
All the grifters cite each other to prove their claims. Yep.
They notified BAE.
Two guys with no evidence. Yeah.
And I got the runaround between the company, the two agencies that I work for. But long story short, it is my opinion in hindsight, and other people who are also whistleblowers.
Yeah, and by the way, if
if
you're a member for that long, I'd be happy to share your comments on the screen. So it doesn't really matter how long your message is. I'll share it on the screen if you've been a member for a while. Just, write member for this many months and then put your message in all capital letters. Be happy to share more messages on screen from the members. It's the least I could do to thank you. This guy is a military one-off, says Patty Wilhelm. That is correct.
In these programs, that is a standard operating procedure by these people to keep this quiet.
Your career has been in classified programs. Your training has been in classified
multiple
programs.
companies.
They now tell you don't have a clearance.
Yes.
You can't go to work anywhere else. You're frozen here, whether you like it or not.
Yep, 16 hours a day, doing night shift, weekends, holidays for $62,000.
He has a big dick stuck in his
But
throat.
to be clear, you had a clearance. It's not like they said you don't have one, you lost it. They're keeping it in a purgatory, which is a technique we've heard over and over of how to keep people somewhere.
And what's your evidence of hearing
try to
that
squeeze
multiple
them out
times, Jeremy?
through pressure. So
Trust
I just
me,
want to make
bro.
that clear. It's not like he ever had anything, a mark on his record where they're like, no
There's
longer
always
have
a
clearance.
book. Yes.
He was in good standing. It's a type of purgatory people create. So look, we're
You
kind
are
of glossing
correct.
over this
You
idea.
are correct.
We're here to talk about the UAP reality. Boom. You see something at Langley Air Force Base that you have testified to Aero, to Congress, to Senate Intelligence.
And provided no
people
evidence
that we're
of,
not
Jeremy.
talking about. You've testified to a lot of people officially, ICIG. You wanted them to know that this craft you saw, which you're thinking maybe it's something we reverse engineered. We now know through that it's likely not just our tech, that it might prove David Grush's ideas about reverse engineering that we've been told all the way back from Lazar. He saw an operational craft over a military installation that is far beyond, there's no fingerprint for. We don't have that technology to the best of my understanding at this time.
Yeah, these are all UFO, standard UFO talking points. This thing operated in a way that is far beyond our technological capability. How do you know? How do you know? Do you know how long ago the United States government created the SR-71 Blackbird and the Ox, that whole project? And that thing flew at incredible speeds. It was far beyond the technical capability of anything else in the sky. That was 40 plus years ago, maybe more. So how does Jeremy Corbell and this clown know what the United States government has in the Black Vault? Pardon the pun. Starlight Warrior with another one for the goal. Evidence free. That explains it all right there. The Trust Me Bro Club. That is correct. That's what these stories are. They're all Trust Me Bro stories. And Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are the king of Trust Me Bro stories. That's all they have. Trust me, bro. The government's got these alien spaceships. Trust me, bro. Starlight Warrior has been a big supporter for a very long time now. And thank you, Starlight Warrior, for being a big supporter and for being a YouTube channel member. And, of course, helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Yeah, I thought that too. Whenever he says Borland, I am thinking a C++ compiler. I have a background in computer science, so Borland C++ got a big piece of my life back in the day. I have to be honest, though. I haven't coded anything in a very long time. I want to get back to it. He's 100% fresh meat. These people flock to anything new and shiny. That is correct. That is correct. Thank you. Thank you, Starlight Warrior, and all of you for the support. We're at 8 of 20. Boy, we might actually hit a goal 2 nights in a row, so I could feel like a winner, like Dark Side Phil. He's a big winner, right? He's very successful, according to him. I just was watching a detractor show where Dark Side Phil kept saying how successful he was. And I'm here to tell you, if you got to beg like a crackhead every stream you do, you're not successful. You're a joke. But it is what it is.
So now, whose was it? Was it a joint operation where the comms with whoever the pilots were? But it was a huge triangle that had this electrostatic charge. The other thing you told me that,
yeah, and that's another thing these guys do. Repeat the claims. The interviewer repeats the claims already made by the person being interviewed, as if 2 people repeating it was a huge craft is going to make it more convincing, right? Amber Geddon is here. I am still waiting for my Jetsons car. Wow. Amber Geddon, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We're going to try to get those hover cars done. Wilcox said 3 or 4 years ago that he'd have a working hover car prototype in a year. So I'm sure your Jetsons car is on the way, Amber Geddon. Amber Geddon is a new subscriber, a new show supporter, and we love to see those new people supporting the show. So thank you, Amber Geddon, for your kindness.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Right, and we've got, holy shit, haven't seen him in a while. Mike Larry stepping back into the fold. Thank you, Mike Larry. Wow, so generous. Mike Larry is another one of those. Him and Charles McDonald are the MVPs of gifting these Truth Seekers memberships. And this, my friends, is why you got to hit the subscribe button right now. If you're not a subscriber, I get it. I don't like getting a lot of notices on my phone and shit. I subscribe to very few channels. In fact, I might be subscribed to less than 15 channels on all of YouTube because I just don't like my phone blowing up every time somebody uploads a video. And I get it and I understand. But hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell is how you will know that I've posted a new live stream, or I'm about to go live, or I've posted a new video. And if you're not a subscriber, you're not eligible for these free memberships. And a incredibly kind and incredibly generous Mike Larry is here, gracing us with his presence. Haven't seen you in some time around the live chat. So happy to see you, especially when you're dropping a dono bomb like that. 20 Truth Seekers memberships. What this means is that 20 people in the live chat who are subscribers but not yet members to our channel are all going to get free access to all those extra goodies in the members only section. And by the way, I just posted a new members only video today in our new series, Legends of the Lost Cities. So far, we've done Atlantis, we've done Agartha, we've done Lemuria, and the latest upload today is on Shangri-La. And these are very incredibly deep dive researched articles, really, that I've turned into videos about the legends of all these lost cities. I'm totally fascinated with these legends. So you got to hit the subscribe button, because when a kind and generous soul like Mike Larry graces us with his incredible generous presence and gifts these memberships, that means 20 people, 20 of you bitches, you brokies, you're going to get a free membership. You could get a free membership, but you must be a subscriber, and then YouTube randomly gives them out. Yeah, Arlene says, thank you. That new one, Shangri-La, is really good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and thank you for that. So Mike Larry, 20 gifted memberships. That is incredible. And we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Mike Larry's a big show supporter, dropping dono bombs every time I see him. He's just dropping the dono bombs. Thank you, Mike Larry. Big support.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right. Thank you, Mike Larry. So please do subscribe. CN with another $1.99. Great shows on the Lost Cities. Thank you for that. We appreciate you. Thanks for appreciating the work that we do.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
And I just wanted to mention that so far, just for the month of October, I'm really making a big attempt because of people like Charles McDonald and people like Mike Larry. We have so many members now that I feel obligated to do more members only material. So we have 4 members only videos, and it's only the 7th of the month. I have 2 more of those Legends of the Lost Cities that I'm working on. Those will be uploaded this month. You really do get a lot for becoming a member. So please consider, if you haven't got a free membership like so many of you, please, all memberships get matched, right? I'm not sure, for a limited time. I think that was for a week. I think that has expired. Shambhala is another lost world. Well, I kind of folded that one in off license to Shangri-La. It's almost the same, so I didn't want to do 2, right? Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. Absolutely, hit the like button. It really does help the algo.
I want to hear more about was the gold glow, because I've heard this over and over and over, like a lava lamp. It was a sort of undulating.
If somebody was smoking pot, looking at a lava lamp, yeah.
Basically, yeah. The best way I can describe it is overlay. If you're looking at a lava lamp and seeing that flow, place a yellow semi-transparent.
Yeah, hit the join button. And by the way,
on this,
if you do hit the join button and you become a YouTube channel member, I get a notice that you've become a new channel member, and we give you a big shout out and thank you off license. So don't be shy. Become a new member. You get a big shout out and thank you, and welcome to our members only section. You get a channel badge so people know that you're a member and a big supporter of the show. It's a great system, and we appreciate all you members and you Patreon supporters. And listen, I get it. It's a rough economy out there. So just so you know, you get the same benefits on the Patreon. That's $1. But you don't get a member's badge in the live chat, and you get a few extra goodies on YouTube.
Craft making 90-degree turns and all over the craft, and it's just this yellow, transparent, almost like smoke cloud pulsating all around the craft.
So clearly a technology like Matthew Brown has kind of thought that either it's
yeah, Matthew Brown was their last evidence-free whistleblower. That's 2 in a row. 2 evidence-free whistleblowers in a row. The last guy did have evidence, though. He saw a document of a fictional war game scenario. That was his evidence. Totally worthless. Totally bullshit.
non-human intelligence technology, or it's something that we've figured out how to operate, and it's like a breakaway civilization. It's so advanced that this is something that's not acknowledged, even to Congress, the people that should have oversight. So you've got that big one UFO experience, right? The UAP experience. Then you have this accidental exposure, but to such a high degree. I don't want to ask the question because I don't know if you can answer, but did you physically see photos? Did you physically see these documents?
No, but because of how much was given to me and relayed, that the individuals that had relayed it, they were doing so because they were genuinely concerned for their life, because their careers were taken, their houses were broken into.
Oh, come on.
I mean, computers taken, mailboxes gone through. That
Where's the evidence? There would be police reports. If your house gets broken into, don't you call the cops? Or do you just say, hey, it must be those government men in black again, so I'm not going to bother calling the cops when my house gets broken into and computers get stolen and death threats get issued? It's kind of ridiculous. Caney Death Squad, Steve, if I put in a call, I could get you to Agartha. Well, I think if you smoke certain substances, you could make it to Agartha or Atlantis or Lemuria or any of those lost cities you want to, Caney Death Squad. But thank you for being a member, and thank you for your excellent support and putting a smile on my face.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right. And Echo has gifted another True Seekers membership. That's 21 of you guys in the live chat that all got a free membership tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because when a kind and generous soul like Echo or Charles McDonald or Mike Larry come by and drop these free memberships, you could win one, but you must be a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button, friends. And thank you, Echo. Big support, and thanks for being a member as well.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and we've got Chill Station 7, who's a big supporter, one of the biggest. He says, sounds like some good weed. You know, I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say that. But you said it for me, so now I don't have to, Chill Station 7. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and continued support. You guys are going to make it rain up in here tonight. All right, imagine that. You can make money telling people the truth, not just lying to them. And CN with another one for the goal. If witnesses were harassed to that extent, it would be easy to gather evidence. Exactly. And wouldn't you show that as proof? Wouldn't you say, hey, this person's house was broken into. Here's the police reports, and we think it was directly related to his job responsibilities around UFOs. I think that would be a very easy thing to prove, but they never seem to have that evidence with them. And in some cases, they fuck up and they say, like, a person's name or a city where this kind of thing happened, and I go looking for the police reports, and I come up empty. But thank you, CN.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, let's continue with the cavalcade of bullshittery. We're only 11 minutes in. Holy
and again,
shit.
they knew what I was going through at this time. They had given me enough information, and the agreement was that if
I was thinking the
died,
same
that
thing, Sam
I
Corbin.
run with it
That'll
and
get you to
disclose everything else.
Agartha
So
or
he's got his
Atlantis.
firsthand experience of this tech, but then this is something, George, we and I hear a lot, which is in the legacy, when you're kind of put into the bad camp, you know, you're under scrutiny now, that there are these people that are threatening you, and you do feel afraid for your life. And we'll get to it, but there are some things that occurred to you as this gets kind of deeper and deeper with what's happening. But
They
just
try to
be
kill
clear,
him. They
so
cut
you're
his
in a
brake
place
lines and try to
where
kill him.
there's some sort
Spoiler
of
alert.
purgatory going
The
on.
bullshit's about to
Everybody
get
has
thick in
clearance, but
here.
they're in this sort of purgatory. You're in this sort
A
of
few of
purgatory,
us, yep.
right? And then people directly involved in the legacy program are afraid for their lives, so they're telling you so that you can, at least somebody at their level can take that information if something bad happens to it.
I think it was definitely that, but it was also, this is such
men
an
in black are
isolating,
gonna kill
lonely
me.
experience, especially for young people to
which
be
people?
exposed to the reality of
Exactly.
this. If you already don't have the acknowledgement that it's a possibility,
Water
like,
Lily
if
got a
you're,
free membership. Welcome,
I don't want to say
Water Lily.
close-minded. If
Thanks for
you're
being a new
average
member.
Joe Blow going through life, and then all of a
You can
sudden
thank
this
Mike
pops up on
Larry
your
or
radar
Echo.
and you're seeing physical proof of it,
One of those two
probably take
gifted
a
you the
step back and
membership,
go,
Water
wow.
Lily. Very generous.
So
of
you
both
have
of them.
that aspect.
Thank
Then
both
these
of you
same
guys.
people
See,
have
there's
that
somebody
aspect
already
of it, and
appreciative
they
of
also
a
have
free
the
membership.
aspect of their government destroying them.
So they are going through the same thing. You
Yes,
are.
Exactly.
Wilcock had his
Their
brake lines
clearances
cut,
are
but
in
with no
limbo.
proof.
Home break-ins, threats,
When
they or otherwise.
I come into contact with these people, they had had to resign from their government position and
Sam
take a
Corbin has
contracting job
gas,
for less
gas
money.
station
They were
DMT
basically
pills.
blacklisted
Oh,
for 6 months. The only
you don't
reason
want to
they
take
ended up
that
getting a
shit.
job was because somebody on the legacy program had hooked them up after 6 months. And they ended up where I was at, and they heard me talking all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you ended up here too, buddy. So what the hell is going on here?"
It's like the island of bad toys or something like
Misfit
that. You know,
toy.
Yeah.
put them all in one basket.
After I saw what I saw and I've experienced what I've
There's no
experienced,
evidence, and there never
I
will
think
be.
most of us have
Yeah.
taken the delve into all of this material, and you're like, I know this is true, I know this is true, I know this is true. Who else is saying these true things? Who else is relaying information that I know to be true to try and
Yeah,
make
only
sense of your
57
own
likes.
life?
Many more of you watching.
Um,
Smash the like
They
button.
were
Help us out.
aware of what I was
Another
talking
great way to
about. I
support us.
don't know the capacity in which they were briefed in. There's things that I knew that these people were aware of, but even they would not say. One of those being biologics.
Biologics. Oh, now
You
we're
think
getting
there's
into
a
the alien
storehouse of that
bodies.
information that anybody would have put something away in case something bad happened to them? And do you know what happened to these people?
You know, the ones that I know still continue in the government.
Biologics.
I think
alien
they
bodies. Big
they
claims.
continue
More
to
trust
classified
me, bro.
operations programs.
They're
And
not coming forward.
they would never come forward in a million years unless they were going to die. And it really sucks for me coming forward because I only came forward because I sincerely believe they were going to die. Sucks.
And you yourself have had really unfortunate coincidences.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. And that's one of the
This
reasons.
guy sounds very psychologically unstable, or is it just me? He thinks people are going to murder his coworkers. He thinks people tried to murder him. He doesn't sound very psychologically stable. Evernurse Mark with another one for the goal. Big support from Evernurse Mark tonight. The dude. So one burning question I had, are these guys like Corbell responsible for all these acts of sedition, and are they encouraging them? Well, yeah, I believe that they are encouraging people to break security oaths, to break NDAs, to break their classification requirements, and give them UFO material that they can sell. For years now, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell have been getting and releasing military videos that they have no legal right to even see. And somehow nobody gets prosecuted for it, which is interesting. I know there was supposed to be an investigation into how they were getting these leaks and who was leaking it to them. I have some theories of who was leaking it to them, but never any consequences. If I leak classified videos, I'd get arrested. If you leak classified videos, you'd get arrested, which leads many people to believe that these guys are all part of some government disinformation psyop. But that's opinion and speculation, so take from that what you will. But thank you, Evernurse Mark.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
14 of 20. We might actually hit the goal tonight. Let's get it. 6 more, friends, and we will be 2 in a row of hitting the goal. Imagine that. And tonight, for hitting the goal, I thought we would go through some of the history of George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell selling completely and totally fake stories. Thank you, Evernurse Mark. And CN with another one. Smoking Dogs Cut My Brakes. I think they work for the government. Buy my book. Oh, that made me crack. That made me break character there, CN. Yeah, that's who cut the brakes. It was the smoking dogs from Skinwalker Ranch that were hired by the government to murder this guy. It's just, isn't this, at some point, these stories start becoming so childish and so ridiculous. They're just retarded. But thank you, CN. Big support from you tonight, and we appreciate
Raise the
it.
cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right. Yes, Arlene says, follow the money. All the fake whistleblowers and bull crap give justification for more taxpayer money being passed around. Yeah, and spent on a wild goose chase looking for something that doesn't exist.
Why we started communicating was because if anything did happen to him, he wanted to make sure some journalists like you and me knew about it. And so I call that like a perceived threat or a real threat. I don't know. And I think some people too, the way these things happen, it's hard to put your finger on the cause.
That's
of it.
true.
I know that
Noble,
happened
right?
with David Grush, with Matthew Brown. You can have police reports saying this happened. I had a break into my home, but
Well,
proving who
doesn't
did
appear
it.
to be
Yep,
so
even though it's
far.
very coincidental timing.
Even
And you have one of those experiences yourself.
Jeremy Corbell released a video that somebody took on a cell phone of inside the operations center for a big Navy ship. And go ask anybody in the Navy if you're allowed to film the consoles and things like that inside the command center of a big Navy ship and then release it to journalists. You're not. That's completely illegal. But somehow these guys get away with it. I agree with you, Stephen. All this is disinformation, misinformation, and the government is behind it. A lot of people believe that, because there's got to be a reason why nobody's getting prosecuted for these, what is clearly illegal leaks of government secrets that are going to a select few UFO scammers and grifters. And then you go, why is the government holding congressional hearings and the people who put up the witnesses are the UFO scammers and grifters? And then they use the hearing to monetize the UFO congressional hearings and make money off of the publicity they generate by telling fake evidence-free stories to Congress people in a actual congressional hearing. It's kind of ridiculous.
Right when you're leaving this agency that you're not naming, that I think we're all guessing, but right when you're leaving that employment,
I mean,
something bad happened.
I can fill you in there.
It's a good time for that one.
So for 3.5 years, I worked for BAE without the ability to take another job. And the nature of the work we did, we would get a new boss, whether contractor or govy, every 6 months.
No, you could have taken another job at any time. You weren't a slave there. You could quit your job at any time, even if you're a government contractor or whatever.
I mean, that was the way it was. People were in and out of there because that job is hell. 3.5 years into it, we get a new contractor boss, and he comes in and does the typical Dylan's lying. His clearance is fine. He doesn't have his master's degree. He's full of crap. And I'm like, I'm done with this, my man. So I went to my government employee at the time, who I thought I was friends with. And I
don't know about that.
Who your boss is, because I'm going to his office right now, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm telling him I want my stuff fixed. He tried to tell me, don't do it. It's going to look bad. I was like, I've been here for 3.5 years. I cannot do this anymore. This work is killing me. This is insane. This is the worst place on planet Earth. And I go to his boss and I walk in there. I say, here's my name, here's my social. Look me up in JPass and Scattered Castles, because I guarantee I'm not in there. And verbatim, he says to me, there's no way you wouldn't be allowed in the building. I was like, you want to bet? He looks me up and he says, oh, wow, you haven't had a clearance since 2014. He gets on I give him other names of people who were in similar situations. And he gets on a phone call and he makes a call and he says, fix this now. I walk out of the building and magically my clearance pops up in JPass and Scattered Castles that morning. I get a phone call from BAE System Security, and they're
it could have been a computer
not happy with what I did. I take the first job I can, which was teaching counter UAS, so counter unmanned aerial surveillance vehicles at JIDO, which became DITRA. And long story short, I come into work a couple weeks later and I say, here's my 2-week notice. I'm out of here. They're like, oh, well, what can we do to keep you? I was like, there's absolutely nothing you can do to keep me. They're like, all right.
Like
they're like, I'll process before 2 weeks. I'll process in a few days. I go and I'll process early. And as soon as I sign the paperwork, I walk out of the office, and the company that hired me contacts me and they say, your clearance has been erased again. So I lose my clearance in May. That's May of 2018. The company that hired me went to their prime, which was at that point CACI. And for about a month, they are working, at least they're telling me they're working on getting my clearance fixed. And in early mid-June, I am contacted by the company that hired me, and they said,
is it a hellhole to work for, like this guy says, or is it a good job?
Move on to other candidates. Good luck out there. We don't think you're ever going to get your clearance fixed. That night, I was invited out. And I was getting ready to sell my vehicles. I had pulled my 401k at this point because I knew I was done. I had filed for unemployment, which they denied me for. And on the way home, I totaled my car.
Because you don't get unemployment when you quit your job.
There was a police investigation, and the police had told me in confidence that my brake lines were cut. They wanted it to look like a suicide, which goes into what the VA was doing with me in the medical.
All right, so these are really big claims. He's claiming that somebody cut his brake lines and tried to murder him from BAE Systems. This is the big takeaway. And thank you, CN. Why is Jeremy allowed to seemingly own and profit from military videos? Why is he the UFO guy on mainstream news? Something stinks. A lot of people have mentioned that, CN. And one of the things that's funny is that he took a video from a Navy ship, right? And then he watermarked it. And I believe that when you see a video on the news with Jeremy Corbell's weaponized watermark on it or whatever, he's getting a royalty fee. That's my suspicion and that's my belief. Why is he able to sell military videos to the news media that he does not, in fact, own? The military owns that. Something definitely stinks, CN. And thank you for, kind of confirming for me that I'm not crazy, because I've had similar thought patterns. Like, why is he able to take a Navy video and sell it to news media? Why is he able to do that? He doesn't own the video and claim copyright, right? I guess none of this makes any sense, CN. And by the way, Corbell or Knapp are free to correct me. Do you guys get royalty fee every time a news station like Fox or CNN plays one of your videos in the background while they're talking about UFOs? Do you guys get paid for military videos that you don't own?
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and we are at 15 of 25 to go for the goal. Let's get there, friends. Let's get there tonight. Feels good. We're hitting goals, right? Let's continue this. So he claims that the police said his brakes got cut. And I'm here to tell you, I've talked to several law enforcement officers. If they believe your brakes were cut, they would open a homicide investigation or some kind of investigation into that situation. They didn't in this guy's case. That's been confirmed. Somebody got the police reports, no mention of cut brakes. It was a standard standard accident, basically. It was a vehicular accident. No mention in the police reports, to my knowledge, of brakes being cut. And Evernurse Mark is back with another one because disclosure is being used as a service or goods like money. These people are using misinformation as currency in a perverted market. It's nuts. Yeah, I completely and totally agree with you. That's what it seems to be happening. Evernurse Mark chiming in and hearing the call of the goal now at 16 of 20, 4 to go to get to the goal, friends. Praise the cash, Evernurse Mark, and thank
Raise
you.
the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
Let's continue.
Shoes and the doctors that it was on and all that.
So you leave somewhere you were at. Next thing you know, you're pushing your brake to the floor, total the car, but you're able to get home.
Yep.
When you get home,
I wonder if
and
he
then,
was
of course,
drinking.
the police see the car totaled, and they either wonder, were you sober? Is everything okay? And you invite them over. You said, come do a breathalyzer.
Yep.
They said, well, it's going to take a while.
Yep.
We're going to contact you tomorrow. And then the lead investigative officer in that case physically comes to your home.
Yep.
And warns you that somebody tried to kill you. Your brake lines were cut.
He verbatim said the only reason I'm not charging you with a crime is because your brake lines were cut.
I'm not charging you for a crime because your brake lines were cut.
Is there a police report?
There is a police report of the total car, and there's a police report of what I said to the officer, which is I went out with a friend who worked for the agency. I had 2-3 drinks playing pool over the night.
So he was drinking.
Car totaled.
Does it say in any police report your brake lines were cut?
I have been searching for it. No. And this is what sucks is this is the most damning, and I know what was said to me, and this is the only thing out of all the craziness that I do have evidence to that you.
Yeah, so somebody went out and had a few drinks and then totaled his car, and suddenly there's a story that his brake lines were cut, but it's not in any of the police reports. Friends, if the police are aware that your brake lines were cut and that caused you to total your vehicle, they're going to have that in their report. They're going to have it in the report. Why would they not put that in the report? Troll is here with one for the goal, saying every dollar that goes to truth seekers is one less for Pig Roach. That is correct. And Troll's a big show supporter. And thank you, Troll for being such a big supporter and for so long. He came with the show. He came with the microphone. He came with the webcam. He came with the backdrop. Troll's been here forever. Always throwing a couple bucks in our hat. Thank you, Troll.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
3 chats to go. Yeah, let's go. Let's get it early. And I'll set a new goal, like Darkside Phil. As soon as we get that first goal, I'm setting another one, and I'll set it higher, right? Who gets so drunk they cut the brake lines on their own car? Tim Curley, you made me crack up. That's funny. Yeah, he got drunk and cut his own brake lines. My local farmer's market is in the BAE parking lot. Maybe I should be careful on Saturday. Yeah, be careful while you're buying your tomatoes there, AQ, right? Noka is here. Done, bro, done. You were from King. What? But thank you for your kindness. Noka with some big
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right. The government has turned into slush to allow these zeros to waste tax dollars, bringing their nothingness to Congress. I can't disagree with that.
You guys have seen these weird polygraph tests and VA tests and all this, but the police report verbatim saying that my brake lines were cut, I am still trying to get proof of.
Exactly. That's a clear cut thing.
Somebody got the police report.
We can talk about the
No mention of the
terrorism,
brake lines.
bizarre psychological, I'd say, experiments that he had to endure.
You're working for BAE, but not really. You're working. That's
Oh,
the
thank you,
structure of this
Matthew.
company. You're working for an
Matthew
agency
Wilk, much appreciated.
doing the same stuff.
Yeah,
It's called
redacted.
Oh,
I mean,
redacted.
you have covered positions.
Redacted.
non-official
There's our
covered
first
positions, and
redacted.
even then, I'm starting to float down a river of classification and classified information. But basically, I was
Your
non-official
paycheck is
covered.
from BAE.
Yes.
Are there other people who aren't necessarily BAE government people that you are interacting with in any?
100%. And there's
Thanks,
other
Matthew.
agencies outside of the IC that I'm interacting with. There are other contractors I'm interacting with because it's a way to.
He was trying for the fuel
Here's my
line.
question: is your employer
More
and the
redactions.
secret employer know what you know? They know what you did. You've done it well, even though you feel guilty about it. Why wouldn't they take care of you and not want you to?
Yeah. And by the way, in the first part of this, he claimed that he was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people that were killed by drone strikes. I call bullshit on that. If you're the decision maker deciding who's getting murdered by the United States government in drone strikes, you're not allowed to just go on fucking YouTube and talk about it. You just wouldn't be able to do that. It's total horseshit.
Spill beans or go off the deep end.
So,
Why wouldn't they do that?
all right, now you're asking me my opinion, and this is my opinion. To be clear, I think at the time that all of this was happening, and considering with what the VA was doing to me, what was on my official record, it is my
His official
opinion
file says
that
32.
it would have been very easy
Not
to
hundreds?
discredit me publicly
32?
by saying this individual is delusional.
So he's
look at all
embellishing
his medical
and
records,
exaggerating.
he's a disgruntled employee, a liar, all of that.
Sounds like a disgruntled employee
And
to
then
me.
the problem
Saying
became,
his working
though,
there was a
especially when I
hellhole.
came to Arrow and spilled the beans, and then people found out I kept police reports and
How dramatic.
voicemails that are on my
redacted.
phone. You guys have heard.
Yeah.
That people found out very quickly that it was going to be very easy to discredit me when I was still under the belief that if I said anything, they would call me a Looney Tune. And then they found out how much I knew, what I could prove, and what I had. And it quickly became a problem of he is a danger.
Yeah,
Right.
We need to deal with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bob Lazar kind of.
100%. And
Oh, yeah,
that's the
just like
thing
our
that,
fake pimp
you know,
convicted
that I noticed
pimp
a lot
fake
is that
scientist.
a lot of what the types of reprisals that you have experienced in your line of work mimic the same tactics all the way back to 1989 when George was reporting on Bob Lazar. It's like just ways to discredit you and put you. And look, I've seen all the evidence that you've provided. We've looked through it. I've talked to people that know you really well over these years. Your assault.
Jeremy's seen all the evidence he's provided. Why haven't you shown any of that evidence to the audience? You're just letting him sit here and tell stories, and you're saying he has evidence. So this is a bluff. I've seen all the evidence he has. Well, then show us the fucking evidence, Jeremy, you lying scumbag, grifter, fucking hipster loser. I've had enough of this bullshit, this cavalcade of bullshittery. I'm a content creator. If somebody comes to me and they have a lot of evidence, I'm going to show that evidence to my audience. I'm not going to just let them tell stories and not show the evidence. There is no evidence. It's a bluff. And by the way, I believe people have found those police reports of that vehicular accident, no mention of brake lines being cut. Then we get the stunning revelation. He's saying he's responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people. The records that they released confirmed he had 32, not hundreds. So is this just another example of one of these guys exaggerating and embellishing their history out the wazoo, like so many of them do? CN with one for the goal. And a very important observation that I agree with 100%. If he was drinking and crashed, the cops would not just leave him be and not bother testing him. This is bullshit. That is correct, sir.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
You're involved in a vehicular accident. One of the first things the police will do is ask you if you've been drinking. If you actually say yes, they will breathalyzer you, right? They're not just gonna say, oh, okay, you know, right? One of those things, man. It's just that this guy's story don't add up. Done, bro, done. You were from King. Okay, we got that one. I'm sorry. And we've got CN's. Thank you, CN, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Urban Terror with one for the goal. Here's my contribution for the goal. Keep up the great work, Stephen. I believe I will. And thank you, Urban Terror, for being a member and being a big show supporter. Always throwing a couple bucks in our hat, keeping us honest here. Thank you for your kindness.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
Urban Terror hearing the call of the goal, and Starlight Warrior hearing the call as well. My theory, any intelligence agency, regardless of who, knows what things go on with employees, like leaving a crash scene. The guy probably got canned and lost his security clearance, and now he grifts. Yeah, that's a very good possibility, Starlight Warrior. There's a lot of things that I think, you know, and the reason that these stories work is because these scumbags like Jeremy Hipster Corbell, scumbag, he's a bored rich kid. The guy's been a yoga instructor. He invented his own fake jujitsu. I think it was called quantum bullshit foo or something like that. No, quantum jujitsu, not quantum bullshit foo, but it's bullshit. He was an artist doing art installations. He was a failure at everything, but he's very good at UFO scamming. You got to give him that. This guy's every fucking story this guy puts out is totally fake, but he still manages to carve out millions of dollars from morons on the internet. So I got to give him a little respect for that, Starlight Warrior. And thank you for being such a big supporter and a YouTube channel member. Thanks for appreciating us. We certainly appreciate you. Big ups to Starlight.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and we've got Ever Nurse Mark with another one. Weaponized is on an RNG with the word redacted. It's purely random, has nothing to do with protecting information. Jeremy is a piece of redacted. Yeah, maybe they do that just to add drama, right? Ooh, it's so hot. What he's saying is so hot and so secret they have to redact things. It's a dramatic element to a bullshit story. But thank you, Ever Nurse Mark.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
Right, and we've got CN with another one. The evidence is buried with the element 115. You are correct, sir.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
For those unaware, George Knapp once claimed, and I have the clip of it, we've played it here many, many times, that he knows exactly where the element 115, the flying saucer fuel, the smoking gun evidence and proof of alien visitation on Earth, he knows where it's buried, and someday he's going to dig it up and show it to everybody, right? What a bunch of bullshit. What a bunch of bullshit. But thank you, CN. And it looks as if, wait, let me check in. Yes, we have hit our goal. Goal achieved. So we'll be doing a bit of a history lesson. And thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. That's 2 nights in a row we have hit our goal. I was setting it at 30. I'm going to start setting it at 20 and actually hit it. So we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Garage G with a good observation. Also, there are many fail safes to prevent a crash from failed brakes without warning. Yeah, you got an emergency brake. Most people don't know how to use their emergency brake. I need a redacted screen card as well. That is correct, right? Dude, I doubt you would be allowed to go on YouTube and discuss killing hundreds of people with drone strikes if you were really involved in those types of operations. says CN. Yeah, I just don't think that that's something that the government would want you doing, right? It just it doesn't make any sense. I got the element 115, man. Yeah, he sure does. I will make a redacted screen for the show. Yeah, do that. Do that. Arlene, I know, right? Totally stupid and well deserved. Sam Corbin says, awesome. Yeah, let's continue. I don't know how much longer we're going to go. We're going to get through some more of this and then do a little bit of overtime on these two clowns.
But individual, or wouldn't be sitting here. So the fact that they're setting up the option to be able to discredit is exactly why they probably chose Bob compared to him. I mean, he's working official capacity with clearances and all that stuff, but it's the same tactics.
Yeah, I mean, it's called standard operating procedure. I actually laugh. I mean, honestly, I was laughing about George's mug right here when confronted. One thing about the United States government is they don't really change their SOPs or TTPs. They think if it works, it's going to work forever. And this goes back to issues we were talking about, which is the internet changed the game. AI is going to change it more. And too many people have come out. So these SOPs and TTPs to keep whistleblowers
I don't know what
silent,
TTP
really
is.
does
Does anybody know what TTP is? SOP is standard operating
people
procedure.
who want to hide this secret or ammunition, but this is a different ball game this time.
Yeah,
Give us
I'll
a
hook
sense
you
of
up.
how
Just
they
buy my
made your
book.
life miserable as a result of you leaving that job. And
Yeah,
really
that's
setting
what
the
happened with
table for
Roswell.
discrediting you if they
Somebody
needed
cut
to.
their brake lines.
I
and they
mean,
crashed.
okay, that works. For example, I witnessed a suicide. The police showed up. There was an official police report. I was with other veterans. The Veterans Affairs Administration was contacted. And the
DUI.
police contacted the VA on
Oh,
my
thank you.
behalf to tell the psychologist there
Tactics,
that this
techniques, and
happened.
procedures.
I went in with
TTP.
another
All right, learned
veteran,
something
a
tonight.
Marine,
We all did.
who
Thank you.
deployed to
Thank you,
Afghanistan,
Spooky.
combat engineer, great guy. We went into our psychological eval from the suicide we both witnessed together. He was treated with due respect, asked how he felt, apologized, the whole nine. What they did to me is they accused me of faking a police report, faking being a police officer, wrote in my official medical records, which have hindered me to this day. It's still ongoing.
Yeah, you can read
That
the
I
redacted
am
info
a
in the book if you
liar,
buy
I
it.
am
Yeah.
prone to delusions, I make everything up, and that is in my official medical records. You guys have the police report number, you guys have the voicemail. I played it for you both. That was the first thing the VA did to me.
Well, it's interesting. So his official medical records say that he's prone to fantasy and making things up, and that he impersonated a police officer somehow. Yowza, right? People always do mental gymnastics to try to make Lazar legit, and why he was hired. He's not qualified. Yeah, they don't hire a fake scientist by accident. They would know he wasn't a real scientist. They would check on his education before they hired him and find out that he never went to the schools he claimed, and they wouldn't hire him. Full stop.
I was put into a hypnosis biofeedback program where once a week I had to go to the VA and I would be hooked up to a polygraph machine, and they would flash images of an Afghan child with a gun to a butterfly, and I'm hooked up to this polygraph machine.
Well, this
and
sounds
I have to
crazy.
count backwards from 100 by 7 while they're flashing images. And if I got the number wrong, like 193, 86, and I said 77, they'd start screaming at me, honking an air horn, and I'd have to restart.
Oh, come on. If he's saying they psychologically tortured him?
401k because I didn't have a clearance. I couldn't get a job. I almost lost my house. I had to fight BAE and the agencies I worked for.
Biofeedback is not a polygraph. I agree.
$270 a week in Northern Virginia, which, if you know anything about Northern Virginia, is the richest part of America. It is not feasible to even get groceries off of that. Basically, I lost everything but my house. And at one point in time, because I was concerned I was going to lose my house because I am a 10% disabled vet, the VA is denying I ever did the jobs I did, denying I have the issues I have, the whole nine. I was genuinely concerned I was going to lose my house. And I began to honestly consider and look at nonviolent offenses in order to have 3 hots in a cot, because I was very quickly approaching the point in time where I would probably be a homeless disabled vet.
Rex
Sounds like they wanted you to kill yourself.
2 to 3 drinks.
That is 100% what they
bud.
did. In fact, there was a doctor who filed a complaint within the IG at the VA on my behalf because they were, in his opinion, trying to get me to kill myself. At one point in time, they put me on a prescription medication for PTSD and depression, which I wasn't allowed to collect, by the way. The VA still denied I had PTSD or depression, but they put me on the medicine for it. And
Well,
I
that's
woke up
odd.
in the middle of the night while on this medication. And the best way I can describe it is, you need to relieve yourself to go to the bathroom or you're thirsty. It's a physical response. I woke up in the
Good
middle of
point,
the night
Echo.
and the physical response in my brain was commit suicide. I freaked out, rightfully so. Something I will never do is commit suicide. I'm a Roman
Borland is
Catholic. It is
unstable
against
at
my
best.
religion to do so. I
Yeah.
contacted the VA. I went to the
Tony
VA.
Hugecock says,
on the
man, this got me
police's-
riled up.
Again, all documented. And the VA psychologist, who was a CIA employee of all things, or was,
Yeah, Wonder
said,
Woman was
this is
there.
common.
Sure,
You need to
Garazi.
increase your dose.
She used the lasso
The
of truth.
psychiatrist, you have his name.
Yeah.
He was made aware. He filed a complaint on my behalf.
Yeah,
he
poor-
found out there was a team
Trying to kill
dedicated
yourself.
to me
Yeah,
at the
sounds
VA,
very unstable.
and he filed a complaint against that team. He was told that he is
He
nothing
needs
going
the
to
kind
change,
of help
that
he
I
can't
answer to
get.
them.
Yeah, it
And
seems like he
told
needs
me
psychological
verbatim,
help
he
to
said,
me.
Dylan, you need to do everything in your power to live through this. What they are doing to you is wrong. Do not trust any of these doctors. There is something very wrong with what is being done to you. And keep in mind, this whole time this is happening, I'm over at BAE. And he resigned.
In protest, he resigned because of what they were doing to Dylan. And let's just back up. This is some Stranger Things bullshit. To take somebody like Dylan through, I think it was Stanford research, right? To take somebody through like Dylan.
Penn State and Stanford.
It was what?
Penn State and Stanford.
And, use aeroforms and these violent images. And I mean,
Malcolm McDowell.
it is my favorite movie. Yeah, it's like Clockwork Orange. Not to make light of it, but it's like, I've talked to a bunch of people about this.
These are some serious allegations that he's making. He's claiming that a company tried to murder him by cutting his brake lines. Then he's claiming that the VA psychologically tortured him on a biofeedback machine. Like, does this sound like somebody that's got a firm grasp of reality? Yes, SSRI stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. SSRIs are a class of antidepressants that work by increasing serotonin levels in the brain, primarily used to treat anxiety and depression. I really think that people should exhaust all other options before resorting to those type of medications, but consult your medical professional, not some guy on YouTube. I'm not a doctor, but I think those things can be, just my opinion, those things can be very dangerous.
And it's some sort of psychological
permanently
program
alters
that
your
has
brain
really
chemistry.
deep ties within the CIA.
This soldier
MK
needs
Ultra.
money. Yeah.
It's like a continuation of that, is what I understand.
Patty says he's off his
something else
meds.
going on
Yeah.
that Dylan is searching for answers, and I get that with what he's experienced. It appears
Yeah, why
to
didn't
be
he reach out to his
connected to the
congressperson?
UAP thing.
I mean, I'm almost certain it is, because this goes back to when I was discharged from the Air Force. After our process with
and
the VA in the Air Force, the DOD mandated.
Honestly, the longer I watch this, the more sympathy and empathy I have for this guy, and the more disdain I have for this despicable duo who are all too willing. This guy has clearly got some psychological problems. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but just from an outsider looking at him, he was suicidally depressed. He says he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. He's completely stressed at his job, calling it a hellhole to work for. It was hell working there. He's stuck at his job and he can't quit and he can't get a new job. Maybe he's experiencing some kind of paranoid thoughts because he's claiming people are trying to murder him. This is clearly not somebody who's very psychologically stable. So why are Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp so intent on exploiting him to make UFO dollars? If he truly has, some kind of mental problems, maybe they should get him some psychiatric help instead of running to put him on YouTube to make some money off of what could be making money off of his mental problems, right? There's better coping mechanisms than alleging felonies, right? Yeah, well said. They're encouraging this guy's delusions. Yeah, because this guy's delusions are very profitable for them, right? Apologize to Bob Lazar, says Angel Makers. Never, never. Fuck Bob Lazar. He's a fucking pimp. He's a convicted pimp. He ran a whorehouse. I will never apologize to Bob Lazar. He's a fucking pimp that ran a whorehouse. He wasn't a real scientist. He was fake. He was fake. All right. He's drunk on meds who wrecked his car, and he thinks he's better because he has a master's degree. Got pissed his boss didn't, and he was bitter. Yeah, he sounds like a disgruntled employee to me. This guy is hanging out with the wrong crowd. Yeah. Kick auto mod. Yeah, I didn't know. Lazar really was a pimp. Yes, he was convicted for running a whorehouse shortly after he came out with his flying saucer stories. He was arrested for running a whorehouse, an illegal whorehouse in Las Vegas. These are public records. We've deep dived into all of that stuff, right? Yeah. These vultures did the same thing to Grush. Yeah. And in both cases, both of these men, this guy and Grush, have a history of mental problems. So why are these UFO scammers and grifters exploiting people with mental problems instead of just getting them? You know, I can tell you the honest to God truth, cards on the table. If this guy came to me and wanted to tell his story on my show, I would encourage him to seek psychiatric help. I wouldn't platform him, because I would notice that he is not very stable and he's having paranoid thoughts, you know, thinking people are trying to murder him. All victims of Yankee Blue PSYOP, in my opinion, says Spooky. Yeah, for those unaware, there was a Yankee Blue was a PSYOP in which they would tell people that worked for the government in military and intelligence circles, they would show them things like pictures and tell them that these were alien spacecraft and that the government was back engineering. It was like a hazing ritual. And it was totally fake and disinformation, but many of the people that they did that to believed what they were told, and they started to fear for their lives. So he's like the Cyrax of the UFO community. Yeah, except he doesn't have lotion bottles all over his room. Well, I don't know that. He may have lotion bottles all over his room. I really don't know. Let's continue for a little while longer.
Go to the Navy. I'm not a Navy. I never work with I train Navy guys, but I'm not Navy. I never work for the Navy other than special ops, which is under redacted. I had out process with the Navy.
Another dramatic redaction
with the Navy in 2013. I go down there and the Navy doctor's asking me about ESP, God, remote viewing, aliens, the whole nine.
You walk in that day.
I walk in, and during my out process for my medical discharge, you're like, how's your back? Oh, we're sorry about your dental thing. We'll get that taken care of. Oh, by the way, you know, we have some psychological questions to ask you. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in ESP? And that's the first time, George. The second time I had the same thing happen to me when I was filing for PTSD with the VA.
Why would they ask that?
And the clinician that did it, the psychiatrist who did my VA eval.
Jason Sands did not disappear.
Oh, do you believe in God?
He's in all the Twitter spaces, bullshitting.
Has this ever happened to you? Do you have prophetic dreams?
Redacted. Remote viewing is the next script, says Patty.
I did, and they're like, oh, well, this is just standard eval. And all of this stuff, and this is what's so troubling, is because I'm doing this.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It leads us all the way to now, and why I'm here on camera with you is I did everything by the book for our country. I put my faith in bureaucrats and companies in our nation. And what I got for it was...
You know, something occurred to me. He said he would never kill himself because he's Catholic, and that would be totally against his religion. Well, if you're Catholic, you also believe that you shouldn't be murdering people. But somehow he's claiming that he was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people through drone strikes. We know that he was responsible for at least 32 people killed in action with drone strikes. That means as a Catholic, 32 times he rubber stamped or green lighted somebody being murdered. I think that for most Catholics, that would be a problem, right? So there's a little bit of an inconsistency there in his story.
Losing everything, no job, no clearance, my master's degree gone, my reputation in the toilet. I go and put a bullseye on my back with Arrow the IG. I tell Congress.
Yeah, maybe it is part of his psyche eval. Yeah.
Like everybody can play the games, and I'm sorry to the congressional staff and members that are here listening to this. Y'all know.
You could be right,
Waterloo. In fact, it's people within government that vouched for the
certainly changed a lot of people that I'm aware of.
Your character and experiences that have reached out to me and George. And,
flexing his body count, very Catholic.
Covering, what it is that you have to talk about, although there's a big thing you can't talk about. And I respect that. I understand as a patriot.
It's a fake redacted.
And the fact that you testified to that stuff, that you can't talk about it. But I guess my question is
part of the psyche eval.
Do you think, just right on the nose, man, do you think that you've been part of some like current day MK Ultra type experimentation on you based on or related to UAP or not?
And is it punishment for what you've seen, or is it part of the whole process you were meant
Definitely.
to?
What I will say
Sam
is
Corbin
this,
is definitely a
and this
super
can be.
soldier, just like
I
Captain
hope not, but
America.
I suspect so.
Could you walk us through at what point you start seeking out other people who've been through the same thing, and your attempts to share information with agencies that are supposedly honestly investigating this?
That's a great question, sir, and I love it. So I get out, all this weird stuff is happening to
Could
me.
be just
clearance
another
gone, pull
interview
my
in the hazing
401k,
humiliation
fight for
process. For all
unemployment,
we
the
know,
whole
they got
nine.
him in touch with Jeremy
In
Corbell and
October and
Schwarzenegger. They arranged
November
it.
of
Not to
2018,
get too
I get a phone
conspiratorial,
call
but
from somebody out of CENTCOM working for Khaki, and he says, "Hey, my name is insert name. I heard what happened to you. What they did to you was wrong. I'm going to send you paperwork and get your clearance fixed immediately. You have to promise me, though, that when you get your clearance fixed, you're going to go work back for the government, and a point in time will come where you're going to have to go and make some decisions." That was a conversation I had. I was like, "Yeah, sure. Sounds great, man. Whatever you say."
Make some decisions. What is it?
He just said, "Go back to the government, do what you've been doing, be a stand-up guy, and, life is going to take you interesting places."
Does that sound
so a
like come back
mysterious
in, shut the
guy.
hell up, or what?
Sounds like it, but I don't know. At this point, I'm just trying to keep a roof over my head.
So you're thinking, yeah,
I said, yeah. He sends me a contract to deploy to
Please tell me
Afghanistan
we get to
do
write a book.
security for $40,000
Exactly, yeah.
a year. He says, don't worry about the pay, don't worry about the job, just sign the contract. Sounds great, my man. Sign the contract, send it back. 3 months later in December, January, he calls me
Yeah,
up. He's like,
big
hey,
fan.
your
Can't
clearance is
talk
good to
about it,
go.
though.
Everything's fine. Sorry you can't deploy to Afghanistan. Good luck, buddy.
So he was doing that just to get your clearance reinstated.
100%.
That was a 100%
They definitely
somebody just trying to
scripted this
take
whole
care of you on
interview.
the inside.
Sounds that way.
100%.
Yeah.
Does it
It
favor?
was. So from there, I got hired back to JIDO. The job I had taken teaching and training counter UAS ops was gone. They hired me to go do all source and target dev. So
Brain seems
basically,
to be getting
you
tired
take
the further they
pictures, you
go
have
into the
strings
interview.
going everywhere, companies and names.
Well, it's kind of
and
stressful
locations.
remembering all the
That was massive and
lies, I
that
guess.
for ops. Get in there, and this is 2019.
Give me money,
and
I'll tell
I
you
am
stories
keeping
is
my
all I
head
hear
down,
here.
trying
Yeah.
to get my finances in order, keep my head down, but I'm still paying attention. I'm paying attention to the chat coming through work. I'm paying attention to reporting I can read. I'm paying attention to you guys. I'm paying attention to what's on public media, lose names out there, ATIP, OSAP. I'm looking at everybody sideways, like I don't trust anyone.
Sounds
And
like
then
a
all of a
paranoid
sudden,
schizophrenic.
2022 rolls around, and this is where
But I'm no
everything
psychiatrist.
kicks off again
Just my
for me.
opinion.
2022 rolls around, and the task force becomes known, to me at least, and I'm paying attention to our space in that forum, and I'm kind of
You're right.
participating
Corey,
in the
good
forum,
thought he
and
could make
I'm
a comic about this.
pulling data from the forum that I
Lost
know is
grifting opportunity.
100% true, and people from the legacy program, and I'm putting in little pieces myself in there to put
Yeah.
people on the right track.
Somebody would
Under
have
your
taken
name?
photos,
Under my name.
something.
Yep. And I'm paying attention to the chat rooms, and
That'll target you immediately. We know that our space was infiltrated.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it's the same with chat
Yep.
surfer. I'm in
Well,
chat
he'll have their
surfer.
pain. Just buy the
And
course.
here's the story. It's a hell of a story too. 2022 rolls around. In the fall of 2022, somebody who was
Yeah,
interviewed
maybe
by
he
the
has a
task force
migraine.
and claimed to be a whistleblower has his
He's got
big
Bob
shindig,
Lazar
and
disease.
people are talking about going, and people are reaching out to me. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near that. That is CI and CIA Central. You guys are crazy doing it. And people had known my background, knew I had my master's. I was trying to shop my
Alchemist, no,
resume,
not
get a
yet.
better job, but I don't go to it. And a couple of people start bashing
Today,
the
in
UFO
fact, the
community.
fake psychic sent me.
And I post a
threatening
response in there, and
text
I say,
messages.
look, my man, you really think Marco Rubio, who wants to be president, is going to put his name to
Just
something unless he knows there's truth
threatening
there?
to call
And
CPS again.
immediately I start getting private messages from people, high-ranking people overseas, like special ops officers, like, point on, my man, like, you know exactly
Yeah,
what's
it could
up.
be. Don't touch me. I'm
And we form
crazy.
this small little group, and we're sending information to each other that's allowed legally to be shared. And
It looks like they got no
the group
shortage of
pops
votes.
up, and the
Willing to
same
blow up their
individual that had
future
this
to
get
tell
together
alien
makes a
stories.
declaration
He was
that
hanging
the
around
people who
the
worked in the
community
legacy
for a
program,
long
their
time
lives were in
reading
danger.
forums. Exactly.
And my
Deep in
background,
the
I did
UFO
guerrilla
lore.
war. You know what was done to me. You know my feelings about all of this. And for the next hour after he made that declaration, I checked in with people who said they were part of the task force, and they said, we do believe that is accurate. And I berated
Could
the
be, yeah.
individual who made that statement for over an hour and said, do not lie to me about this. I know you're lying about other things. I was adamant because I knew I was going to have to come forward
She
as
is
a
out of control.
whistleblower. And no offense to Arrow,
Mhm.
I think Arrow is doing the job they are told to do. And I understand it. You put 18, 20 years in the government, you want your pension, you have a good house, you have kids, and you know how dangerous the outside is, but they're not doing the job the American Constitution demands of them.
Would you say there's a difference between the UAP task force and Arrow? I mean, that the UAP task force had different motivations and
In my limited interaction with the task force since it's been disbanded, yes. In my limited, and again, I don't want to bash Arrow. I think there's a lot of great people at Arrow. I think they are doing what is best for them in their careers, not
Yeah, and
what's
just
best
so
for the
everybody's
subject
aware,
and humanity.
the UAP task force was filled with complete and total wackadoos. One person that was an analyst on the UAP task force said that a ghost girl visited him at night and tickled his feet. Another one was that fake psychic girl who's giving fake psychic readings for $150 and will talk to your dead grandmom for $150. Another person was Travis Taylor from the Skinwalker Ranch television show. You know, the guy that can't tell the difference between an alien spaceship flying 10,000 miles an hour and a bug flying in front of a camera. That guy. Everybody on the UAP task force, or most of them, were complete and total UFO lunatic wackadoos. Arrow became a much more serious effort with scientific, grounded people that weren't going to just be true believers. So the UFO nutbags much prefer the UAP task force because they were true believers. Arrow is much more skeptical, and they don't like that.
In the Constitution.
is it a mistake for you to have gone on to that space and engaged with people you don't exactly know who they are? You know that some of them
Toby Moss wants a ghost girl to tickle
I
his
won't
feet.
know until this is all over.
Me too.
Because of the decisions I made after everything I had been through, and
limited experience is all he has with no
people
proof.
who were interested in this while also keeping my eye on it to see where this was going. If I help keep people safe,
Ectoplasm
3 years from now they
bukkake.
actually do a real disclosure, then yeah, it was a good decision.
This space thing that we're talking about, is there any security protection for it? Is it in any way on a platform that's available to general public?
Yeah, you have to have the proper clearances.
So you're engaging with other whistleblowers, insiders that you think are.
I'm sure there were other insiders and whistleblowers, because there are things that I came across that I had made comments about, and the moment that I pointed it out, those people disappeared and that information was pulled.
You know that some of the information is right, some of it not so dependable or reliable. You're not spilling any beans there. You kind of give people a nudge in the right direction or something.
Yeah, I mean, mainly what I stuck to what I experienced at Langley.
Oh, you did tell all this.
I talked about Langley. And then,
not for nothing, but if you start telling people all of these stories that he's telling people, if you were his employer, wouldn't you instantly recognize that this guy's got some psychological problems and he's probably not psychologically stable enough to be working on secret government stuff? The people are trying to kill me. I saw an alien spaceship. I'm talking to people that back engineered alien spaceships for the government. Like, at some point you would say, this guy is a wackadoo. He's not stable. He's got mental problems. We can't have him work here. I think that's what happened to this guy in his case. That's my opinion, not seeing all the paperwork, of course. We'll probably never see it all.
And I talked about a little bit about odd things that had happened in my life.
He'll never get another government job ever. He's blown
and
it.
It was
blew up his whole future. To help these two grift and sell a fake story.
Given false information purposefully. And I was also very concerned that people who were interested in this subject and had experiences of their own
I think that's Snap stuff.
In grave danger.
He's got a whole library of UFO stuff behind him.
Anyway, his name was discussed on a UFO UAP small time podcast, and that individual you talk about threw a shit fit, excuse my language.
He's going to have a hard time getting another job, period.
And they started making accusations that were not true. Friends of mine were given documents to sign to try and have that individual who was on that podcast job revoked, insider threat, the whole nonsense.
What are the proof of this?
You know, I got tangled up in it because there were things that I was pointing out that were intelligence products that were not real. Yeah. And somehow those intelligence products were leaked onto Twitter. And I had just dropped a message like, anybody find this weird that this product that just came out today is being discussed by debunkers 2 days prior? All of a sudden, that individual threatening me.
That is why he got dismissed. A lot of people agree with my
I'm like, I work for this
speculation.
Agency. I know what the product is. There's no way you're making that claim, and there's no
real
way
whistleblowers have to flee the country.
Valid. It's insane.
True.
Long story short, everything got kaput because of.
Yeah, at least
I don't know.
Jimmy Church will vet him 3 times. Yeah, sure.
They had a hand in it.
Somebody took control of that discussion group.
Oh yeah,
who seemed to be.
I wouldn't trust them to work on anything sensitive or.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm positive of this as well. There are people in there that are so anti-UFO,
just shown the world
UAP
his instability.
That come from very interesting agencies and very interesting locations. And the comments that they put in that chat room somehow are reflected by people on Twitter right now, like verbatim. Like I go into work and I see statement, and I come out of work, and on Twitter is same statement. Just saying, a little odd.
Okay, so there's a direct mirror of on inside the intelligence community in a classified realm, and those statements are then echoed onto X.
Oh yeah,
within the same day,
24, 48 hours. Right. But whatever they're claiming up in their little argument
to influence the public debate on UAP.
Oh yeah.
So there is a direct line of intelligence community interaction.
To be Flair, welcome. Good to see you.
Now, whether or not those people,
it's a little barren in the.
Doesn't matter. There's a lot of motivation.
You're welcome either way.
That's what I'm saying. But I know that is being done.
Seen it a bunch more lately.
So you engage with this group. You see some problems that have developed. What's the next step for you? The decision to share it with official agencies.
Yeah, here we go. So that same individual, the gentleman, he makes the claim that people's lives are in danger. I have been through hell and back. I am trying to keep my head above water. There are friends of mine that are engaging with this individual.
And by the way, my life is in danger because I'm talking about UFOs and aliens. This is a common storyline in UFO mythology, UFO lore, all the way back to at least the 80s, maybe sooner. People have claimed that their lives are in danger because there are talking about UFOs or aliens or spilling the secrets that they were let in on while they worked for the government. And in the hundreds of people who have proved this, not one person, in the hundreds of people that have claimed that their lives are in danger for talking about UFOs, not one person has ever actually provided any substantial or supportive evidence to back up those claims. So to me, this is a storyline. It is a plot device to make him seem more important and make his information seem more credible. Why would they be trying to kill him if his information was fake? If he was just telling fake stories, why would they be trying to kill him? It's a storyline. It's a plot device to help to dramatize the whole story. You know, Borland is the only one with an IC background breaking the oath he took when he got that clearance. He's a traitor and a piece of garbage who sullied the U.S. Air Force name. A lot of people say that. Yeah. Name me one insider who said their life was in danger who was then harmed. Yeah. The stories of that fall apart. Remember Emery Smith saying that he got attacked by the deep state because he was telling the truth about the aliens. And then it turned out that he didn't get attacked by the men in black or the deep state. He was in the hospital for self-induced alcohol poisoning. He got attacked by a big bottle of vodka, not by any fucking government agency. And that's been confirmed by a witness to all of those events, that he was in the hospital, not because of an attack by the deep state or an attack by the men in black, but because he drank himself into alcohol poisoning. So there's a long history of people claiming this stuff. Duco Duos Alpha Ralpha just gifted another True Seekers membership. So that means we've had 22 people get a free membership tonight. And thank you to Charles McDonald and Mike Larry and Echo and Duco Duos Alpha Ralpha and all of you gifting these memberships, because you're expanding our members only channel members here, and we appreciate that very, very much. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, because when a kind and generous soul like Duco Duos Alpha Ralpha, who's also a member himself, gifts one of these memberships, you could win one, but you must be a subscriber, friends.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and let's continue. Yeah, and Spooky said we're almost halfway there. I'm trying to get halfway there, and maybe I'll finish this on a day show. We got to start doing day shows. Maybe I'll finish the other 45 minutes tomorrow or the next day or whenever I can.
And I'm trying to warn them politely, hey, just be aware this isn't exactly true. And people are now slowly, people who are very intelligent, smart people are very quickly realizing that I know what I'm talking about. And that individual makes a statement that people's lives are in danger. At the same time that statement is made, an individual that I knew that was in the legacy program lost their job for proprietary information sharing. I did not want to go to Arrow first because I know
like another leaker.
I know there's a program. I know there are entities. I know it. I have experienced it. It is what it is. And
there
I
are
contact
entities.
that individual.
There are aliens.
Them for an
Thank
hour,
you, Duco
and
Duos.
then finally
Alpha
I say,
Ralpha.
all right, I have to take your word for it. I can't let anybody die. That was my promise to the people I knew in the legacy program. If they died, that I would come forward. I don't want them to die, so I come forward and I go to Congress. First thing I do is I get connected to Senate staffers, and they are asking me questions, and I tell them I have witnessed a triangle at Langley Air Force Base, but I have direct, in-depth knowledge of a hell of a lot more, and I am not comfortable sharing that over the phone. And as long as I am legally allowed to come to you, I will be there as soon as you will let me. And I go into meet with staffers.
We know who you testified to, and it's not, it's somebody who's has a high responsibility when it comes to this subject as far as intake and protecting whistleblowers. And
it's probably one of the UFO nutbags in Congress, like Eric Burleson, Anna Paulina Luna, or Tim Burchett.
That person was in position, which they're not anymore. They did a great job.
They did. I wish nothing but the best for them. I
think he's got mental issues.
All of them.
He said so himself.
It upsets
he's
me.
a mental mess and easy to take advantage of.
Again, have been through what I've been through, and I
wonder if people were tricking him online to feed him. Or to feed their UFO.
End, they were definitely being played
grifting.
With, and that was my concern. And I think they recognized I knew it, and they tried to.
I'll make the set rounds of all the UFO channels. Probably in time.
The best for them.
You told them pretty much everything, or did you hold some of it back?
I held a lot back. I had gone in, they had scheduled my meeting. There were 4 of them in the room.
You gave them program names, locations, the nature of the propulsion systems, everything.
I gave them my direct knowledge of the triangle, my direct knowledge of that entire event, and then
okay, so he saw a UFO and he didn't take a picture of it, take a video of it. He has no evidence or proof other than his eyewitness testimony. That's his firsthand direct knowledge. All this other stuff, program names, name them. Like, I'm tired of these fucking people. Let's call their bluff. All right, the program names, drop them. Give fucking John from the Black Vault the program names. He'll have the fucking FOIAs written before you hang up the phone with him after you tell him the program names. We can all get to the truth. Oh, no, I can't give you the program names. That's classified. But you could tell us that you murdered hundreds of people with drone strikes on fucking public YouTube channel? Come on. I swear to God, I just turned away for a few minutes and I wasn't thinking. I thought I was listening to Corey Good. Even the voice inflection is so weird. Yeah, he is a con man. 100 dead. Yeah, it's a triangle. Yeah, no surprise there. It's a triangle. Jeremy Corbell loves pyramid spaceships and triangle-shaped spaceships.
Guaranteed, factual, no argument about it. A legacy program in detail with technology integration, how it works, where it's at, the whole kit and caboodle.
So they know.
They just keep popping up like whack-a-mole. Yeah, that's correct.
Well, my two favorite moments is the one gentleman that we know was absolutely excited, and he was very much like, it's like, okay, let me hear more. There's another one that is public now, who I don't think he really wanted to believe it, and then made some comments here and there. And then towards the tail end, I had dropped 2 magic words. And when those 2 magic words dropped, I will never forget it. As soon as those 2 words dropped, that individual's mouth hit the floor. He threw his hands in his hair, looked at me, literally looked down at the paper he was writing notes on, and exasperated an agency name, and was just like staring off into space like, what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Was it a program name?
Yes.
2-word program name?
Yep.
Something you should not know. Something you should not know.
Probably. I mean, at this point, it is what it is.
But
Yeah, why don't you tell us the program name? Oh, I can't.
they based on the reaction they do.
100%. And this goes back to Arrow, because after that I go to Arrow. But
Yeah,
the questions
I
they were
know the
asking
program
me
name
enough,
of the
so-
program where they're back engineering alien spaceships, but I can't tell you that. Come on. Can you show us any documents? No. Can you show us pictures, videos, technical schematics, research databases for the back engineering part? No, can't show you any of that. But trust me, bro, I know the name of the program. Come on.
like when you ask questions, if you ask certain questions in a certain order, you, as the person being asked, can figure out, information already. So
I agree,
during
Troll,
that
Troll, Troll.
questioning, the questions they were asking and the things they were saying, I actually, because I didn't want them to think they were leading me on, I would actually tell them, I will answer that in a
Operation Give
moment.
Me
Please
Money.
do
I
not
really
ask
need
that
the
yet,
money. That's
because
the
you
name
could
of the
technically be
program.
leading
Yes.
me. Like, I'm doing that while I'm briefing Senate staff, and then I go over to House and I expose a hell of a lot more in House staff, which wasn't not UFO related, but serious crimes. I go to Senate, I drop the information on them.
Where's all this information and all this evidence? Why don't you drop it here? Oh, I can only drop it to members of Congress, or, it's classified. It's all the same excuses we've heard from all these others. They do this shuck and jive, this dance around the evidence. Oh, I know for sure that the government has alien spacecraft, and I know the program names, and I have all the evidence of it, but I can't show you any of it. It's childish and it's stupid.
In my impression, quickly realize I know a heck of a lot of very, very,
You're right,
very
Jamie
important
Selman.
information. And at that point, there was a conversation that I overheard
Clearly
where
not.
they were
Yeah, this
talking
guy's
about whether or
admitted
not to bring me to House
by his own
side due
words.
to safety concerns. That was literally it. And
They were worried for you.
They were, yes. They had asked me, did I feel in danger? And I did not want to tell them
You're
about
correct,
everything else
Jamie.
I'm telling you now, because it
Absolutely.
sounds so insane. I don't want to come across as insane, but it's all true.
Is this in a skiff? That they
It was.
recorded?
It was in a skiff. No, to my understanding, no recordings.
Did they say, "Hey, we're going to have you come back"? They're talking about
Nope.
to go see the house.
No, that they brought
there's
me
a
in.
good
They said, "Did you
science
go to
fiction
Arrow?" I
books.
said, "I have no way to contact Arrow, and I want to talk with you guys first before I go to Arrow, because I have concerns with Arrow, knowing that they are not representing this issue fully." So I go through the Senate staff. They have the conversation about bringing me to House. There is a gentleman in the House that they decided to bring me to, who, what I was informed of, was he didn't really necessarily believe in all this, but he took safety seriously. I was brought to the House side, where I briefed a House staffer. And then we got into a heck of a lot of other non-UFO things that are serious crimes that I was witness to. People that American citizens would be furious if they found out were in positions they were in. Corruption, sexual harassment, people getting taxpayer funds that should have been dishonorably thrown out of the military, the whole nine. And I told them,
Yeah, he also said before he was aware of sexual assaults taking place, but he wouldn't name names. So you're just going to let people sexually assault people and get away with it? None of this makes any sense. This sounds like the delusional ramblings of somebody that's got serious psychological problems, in my opinion.
I told that individual,
The paranoid and delusional ramblings, I should say.
another who was present in the room that day, about other things that are semi-related to this. And I told the individuals, I said, check all of it. I guarantee it's all true. And 3 weeks later, I get a phone call and they said, "We want you to go to Arrow as soon as possible. Here's
That's
their email
fair, to
address."
be
And
fair.
I said, verbatim, "Is it what the country needs?" "Yes." "Do I go into everything and am I protected?" "Yes." And I said, "All right, let's do it." So
Yeah,
I
a smart guy
testified
who
as
got his
Senate
wires so
and
crossed he
House
can't
staff
unravel them.
members.
That's a
I was
pretty good
told I couldn't
description, Echo.
testify.
And I agree with
I
that statement.
informed Senate and House staffers on March 3rd.
Seems
I
like he
went
was
to
not very
Arrow either
mentally
March
stable before
27th
he
or March
started all
28th
this.
of 2023. And I went to Arrow and went through that whole process with them. The gentleman I met with, one was a DOD officer, the other was an FBI agent. They were pleasant. I think they were quite shocked of the information I gave them and things that were currently happening and how I could tie it to legacy programs and certain technologies and capabilities. But due to my severe concern for the protection of people, I did not want to disclose certain information, and they wanted that information. I told them I wouldn't do it because I believed then that if that information was shared with Arrow, those individuals would be targeted.
Yeah, so this is an excuse. Like, I can't name names because then those people will be targeted. So you can't give the full story. You're giving a half story to people that need the full story in order to adequately investigate it. That's a problem.
And then that became its whole issue later on when I got my classified Arrow MFR. Memorandum for record. So it is what Arrow is supposed to give to Arrow witnesses, usually unclassified. They classify mine and send it to my government email address, where I had to print it off in front of the entire office. I had to edit it first because there were mistakes in it, which I was told I needed to correct those mistakes. And those mistakes I was concerned would reveal information I did not want to share. So I had to make the corrections. My Arrow MFR clearly was targeting a specific staffer. I made a note to make sure that they were misrepresenting the staffer's intention and information that was discussed.
Basically, this MFR
Sounds
was
like a
fishing
big circle
expedition
jerk.
by Arrow to try to pin something on somebody that he testified to that we know, to try to make it look like they were doing something untoward. Right?
So, yeah, they had an agenda for listening to your testimony. It wasn't really about UFOs, UAP. It was to, what can we use this for?
Probably both.
You know, this is my opinion. I think that the two gentlemen I testified to are great Americans. I think they actually care. I think that this came from higher up. I think
more conspiracies. Yeah, I think we're going to call it there. We're at 51 minutes and 14 seconds in. No evidence, lots of stories, lots of paranoid delusional rambling, right? Yes, Sredinsky is correct, and a good observation. This guy could talk. I think you meant this guy. This guy could talk for hours without saying anything. The truth will set you free or put you behind bars. Yes. This is kind of crazy here. They, the office, were all watching me print it out. Yeah, right. They were watching you at the Xerox, you nut. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like he's clearly got like paranoid schizophrenic type delusions, or at least he appears to from what he's talking about. Yeah, he thinks this guy should stop thinking and take a breath. Yeah, that is correct. I totally agree with that. All right, we're gonna go into the overtime section, and I'm going to show you just some examples of the deceptive means in which Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp use to create these fake stories. And let me see if I can find the one Navy video. Navy video drone 1. All right, so 2 drone swarm videos were recently released by the U.S. Navy. These videos confirm that Jeremy Corbell used known craft footage of drones to hoax UFO news and make money from known aerial objects. Is that consumer fraud? Asking for a friend. So why would I get that? 1 second. I will share that video. Okay, so here is the proof that Jeremy Corbell used known craft. He knew they were drones. In other words, he knew that these were drones. And what he did is he erased the audio off of the video. So this is part of a video that Jeremy Corbell released, but in Jeremy Corbell's version, he erased the audio so that you couldn't hear this Navy person basically saying, there's a drone off of our port bow, or whatever he says. We're going to see it here. The fact that Jeremy Corbell erased the audio out of the video of the version that he released shows a clear attempt to deceive the public, in my opinion. Why would you erase the audio? Could it be because the person in the video says this is a drone off of the ship? And he can't sell a video of a drone, but he sure can sell a video of pyramid alien spaceships attacking a Navy or swarming a Navy frigate, right? And that's what he did. And this one is so simple and so stupid, but it clearly displays the level of deception that these UFO scumbag scamming grifters use to deceive the public. If he had included the audio, there's no story. So what we'll do is we'll just scrub the audio out of the video so that people can't hear the Navy person on the deck of the ship saying this is a drone. And that's what he did. Let's take a listen, friends.
The Snoopy team leader on board USS Russell in position 3217 North, 11957 West, operating in SoCal hot area with course 270, true speeds 59 at time 0424 Zulu. We have visual of 4 probable unidentified drones with course unknown.
Unidentified drones with course unknown. We have visual of unidentified drones. Did Jeremy Corbell sell his story saying unidentified drones swarm a Navy ship? No. His story was alien pyramid spaceships swarm a Navy ship. Alien pyramid spaceships and drones are 2 entirely different things. You can't make any money releasing a video saying, oh, these drones were over a Navy ship. But you sure can make money claiming they were alien pyramid spaceships. And that's what he did. Clearly, we'll back that up. We'll hear him say drones again. Why did Jeremy Corbell erase the audio of the video that he released? Could it be because he couldn't sell it if right on the video it said these are drones?
424 Zulu. We have visual of 4 probable unidentified drones with course unknown and speed unknown. Contacts are operating at a range of 1,000 yards and holding. Tail numbers are unknown.
And of course, the reason that they look triangle is because of the bokeh effect. There's a triangle aperture on the night vision lens being used to film this, and that causes any light source to come through as pyramid shaped. It's because of the aperture of the lens. And that, my friends, is how you make money in the alien space. You just lie, just totally lie. That's the first video, and then there's a second video where, again, I say 2 drone storm videos recently released by the U.S. Navy. These videos confirm that Jeremy Corbell used known craft footage of drones to hoax UFO news to make money from known aerial objects. Is that consumer fraud? Asking for a friend. 1 second. 1 moment. We'll share this tab instead. And this is another one where I believe he redacted. That's the word for tonight. He redacted or erased the audio of the video. Because again, if the guy in the video is just saying, we're spotting these drones off of the ship, there's no story there. But if you erase the audio and say unknown aerial phenomenon or UAP or unknown flying objects swarming a Navy ship or pyramid alien spaceships swarming a Navy ship, there's a big story you could sell and make lots of money, get lots of clicks and views. All you have to do is be a complete and total lying scumbag, dickhead, grifter. And let's be clear, that's what Jeremy Corbell is. He is a lying scumbag, degenerate grifter who purposefully only gives you part of the story. And in this instance, he purposefully, in my opinion, erased the audio so that people wouldn't know what they were looking at.
This is a Snoopy team leader on board USS Russell in position 32588 North, 11906 West, operating in SoCal op area with course 034 true, speeds 15 knots at time 0937 Zulu. We have visual of one possible UAS with course 034 true. Contacts operating at a range of 40.
Possible UAS, that means unmanned aerial system. In other words, it means drone. Why did Jeremy delete or mute the audio of these videos to make his video of pyramid alien spaceships?
1,000 yards. Flashing red, green, and white solid light seen.
Clearly, he says unmanned aerial systems. In other words, he said these were drones. The person on the ship identified them as drones. Jeremy knew that he couldn't sell a story if it was just drones, so he erased the audio and released just the video and then came up with a whole backstory about what these were. Pyramid alien spaceships, oh my. Pyramid alien spaceships, oh my. One moment here. Let me get to there is quite a debunk or critique of Dylan Borland. And it's from previous guest here, Local 556, who's former military and I believe current law enforcement. And so he's a good person to investigate the claims being made by Dylan Borland. And as quickly as Dylan Borland came onto the scene, it would appear, my friends, that his whole story is coming crashing down, or at least many of the stories he's telling are coming crashing down as people with actual military and law enforcement experience evaluate the veracity of his claims. So this is from Local 556. It's at OEFTF11 on Twitter. And this is Local 556. He's been a guest on the show. He's very good at analyzing military claims and ripping some of these grifters apart. So he did it, and he's got a military background and law enforcement background. So I believe he's qualified to make an analysis of Dylan Borland's claims. He writes, so I watched part 2 of Dylan Borland's appearance on Weaponized, and the red flags were so constant, I had to make a post about it. This guy is clearly full of it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't care if he's a veteran. He gets no exalted status from his lies. 1 or 2 odd details you can overlook, but his whole story is a pile of impossibilities stacked together. The statistical probability of all this being true is 0. Number 1, the story of his military service doesn't check out. Borland was a 1N1 geospatial intelligence specialist in the Air Force. He said he was recruited and brought into the, quote, drone program, unquote. At the drone program, he said he was part of a very elite special operations mission from 2010 to 2013. He said he made the decision on drone strikes. He decided on the who, what, when, and why on strike targets. In other words, he picked and approved who was going to be killed in drone strikes. Local 556 goes on to say there are a few issues with this story. His own training timeline shows he didn't even finish tech school until mid-2011. You can't be in the schoolhouse as a student learning how to do your job and simultaneously deployed leading global special operations drone missions with our most elite units. So that claim falls apart. He also says he was at the 30th Intelligence Squadron at Langley and implies he was responsible for offensive strike drones. But the 30th doesn't run unmanned aerial vehicles. It's an ISR exploitation squadron that reviews and interprets surveillance feeds. The 30th IS or LS processes and analyzes sensor data. It does not operate armed MQ-9 Reapers or run kinetic drone strikes. If your squadron's mission is intel exploitation, you're not firing missiles. They don't have the authority or equipment for kinetic strikes. Claiming trigger-pulling missions from that billet is dead on arrival. So in other words, a lot of his military claims are completely and totally impossible. They're falling apart. Last, SOF tasking is compartmented by unit, theater, and need to know. Corbell implies that Borland is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from the multiple drone strike targets Borland has accumulated, possibly in the hundreds, apparently. No junior airman in the intel squadron touches every mission across all elite units, let alone makes command-level decisions on who gets striked. Anyone who has served knows that Borland and E3 would not be making leadership decisions nor making drone strike target decisions, period. So his claim of being the guy who is responsible for hundreds of drone strikes and murdering hundreds of people is completely and totally bullshit. Important. Number 2, DUI brake line story doesn't match police work. I'm a former law enforcement officer of 12 years, and I'm more than qualified to call out problems in this claim. This was one of the biggest red flags given my understanding of field sobriety investigation. Weaponize alleges Borland went out with a friend and on the way home crashed and totaled his car. Corbell's framing is fuzzy, but it sounds like Borland left the scene and got home on his own. Why didn't he stay and call 911? Was he possibly intoxicated? Well, he said he had 2 or 3 drinks. Borland says police called him later. He admitted to having a few drinks and said he would come give a breath test. He says the cops told him it would take some time to investigate and they'd be in touch in the next day. Reality. If officers suspect DUI, they're required to do a field sobriety investigation right then. Officers would run his plate, gotten the registered owner info, and gone to his address to contact him. Once Dillon admitted over the phone he was the driver and he had been drinking, field sobriety tests and an interview would happen immediately, not tomorrow. And I agree with that from my limited knowledge of how that works. If time is of the essence in a DUI investigation, if you, let's say he did have 2 or 3 drinks, or maybe he had 5 or 6, and then he crashed his car on the way home, he left the scene of an accident, and then they found him and called him. They wouldn't say, okay, well, sleep off your drunk and we'll come tomorrow to talk to you. No, they'd go right to his fucking house and they would check if he was drunk or not as quickly as possible before the alcohol wore off or he had time to, sober up. That's the way the real world works. All right. And you don't wait until the next day to check impairment. Alcohol metabolizes. A delayed test kills the case, and no officer is going to intentionally throw out probable cause. Borland then says the lead investigator came the next day, told him his brake lines had been cut, said someone was trying to kill him, and told him, I'm not charging you because your brake lines are cut. Yet the report on the crash, DUI, doesn't mention cut brake lines at all. That's wildly improbable. Failing to conduct a timely sobriety check when the driver admits to drinking would be a career-ending policy violation. Discovering cut brake lines means a felony, tampering, attempted homicide case. The car becomes evidence. Detectives and crime scene techs document everything, and the report would clearly state it. Omitting that would expose the officer and agency to discipline, lawsuits, and potential criminal charges for suppression of evidence. Brake tampering is always documented and fully investigated. It's a felony, not something that disappears from a report. Number 3, security clearance claims don't line up. Borland says his security clearance was trapped and stuck in limbo for no reason other than he was talking about things that they thought were far more important than they really are, and thought that I shouldn't be talking about it. He said nobody told him why his clearance was stuck in limbo. He later said he called attention to the issue and it was reinstated in a single day. That's not how clearance or special access project access works. Clearances aren't turned off and on casually. If a TS, SCI, or SAP access is suspended, it's because the individual is flagged due to a reportable incident, an investigation, or an adjudication review. Suspension is documented. The individual is notified something is under review, their access is pulled while the issue is looked at, and the owning Special Security Office or SAP Central Office has to sign off to restore it. If you lose your clearance, you are notified for that reason. It's obligatory so that you can begin your appeals process. Secondly, reinstatement is not instant, even for simple things, missed periodic review paperwork, minor issue that's cleared. Revalidation takes days to weeks because it requires updates in the Joint Personnel Adjudication System, JPAS, DISS, and local SSO to sign off. For special access project compartments, it's stricter. An unclassified day of reinstatement basically doesn't happen. Saying a highly controlled clearance was trapped for no reason, and then when called out back the next day, is a huge red flag for anybody who's actually been inside the system. Number 4, giant black triangle at Langley. Dillon claims a giant triangular craft about 100 by 150 feet flew silently just 100 feet above the ground over Langley Air Force Base. He says he watched it for several minutes before it shot upward at an instantaneous speed. Yet there were no jets scrambled, no radar hits, no camera footage, and no other witnesses. Langley is one of the most heavily defended, densely populated, and surveilled air bases in the United States. Something that large and low would have triggered alarms, security intercepts, and radar tracking. There's zero reporting or corroboration. An event like that would have generated dozens, if not hundreds, of eyewitness accounts. Desmo V4, who has worked at Langley and knows the layout, did an in-depth analysis showing the craft Borland described would not have been visible from his claimed location on base to the hangar area where he said it hovered. Check his comment here. Number 5, VA CIA conspiracy. He now says his VA psychiatrist was ex-CIA and part of a cabal trying to push him to suicide. He claims his civilian psychiatrist quit his own job in protest to help him fight the CIA cabal. Claims like this leave paper trails, complaints, licensing actions, lawsuits. None exist. He went as far to say that his civilian psychiatrist wrote a complaint to the Intelligence Community Inspector General. Until now, no such complaint has manifested. Perhaps at Black Vault can FOIA this. Lastly, Dillon himself acknowledges that his VA medical records state that he attempted to impersonate being the police officer on his case. Pattern. Every major claim Dillon has made falls apart. The service timeline, the wrong squadron missing, clearance talk, driving under the influence procedure, the Black Triangle, and the secret Veterans Affairs plot. Big stories, zero verifiable detail, and things described in ways that don't match how the military, law enforcement, or the VA actually work. Bottom line, common sense and basic fact-checking kill this narrative. In summation, Dillon Borland is the new Pinocchio of ufology. Pattern. Every major claim falls apart. The service timeline, the wrong squadron missing, clearance talk, DUI procedure, the Black Triangle, and a secret VA plot. Big stories, zero verifiable details, and things classified that don't match how the military, law enforcement, or VA actually work. Bottom line, common sense and basic fact-checking kill his narrative. So there we have it. It's pretty clear that this guy is full of bullshit. Yeah. So there we have it. Another UFO whistleblower busted. Yes, busted. And listen, if one of those things fell apart, but the other 3 stood up, I wouldn't be so tough about it. But the fact that every one of his claims is falling apart, it's kind of an indication that this person, if all he has is his stories, the stories don't pass basic fact checking. They fail miserably when it comes to just the most basic fact checking. People that have been in the military and been involved in intelligence community and secret projects or top secret projects know the procedures of how things work. And even the very basic information of how things work is completely wrong in his story. Lies in a little, lies in a lot, says Patty Wilhelm. Echo says, whoever wrote this is doing God's work. Yeah, that's Local 556. I thought about having him on the show tonight, but I thought, well, he's already written the debunk. We'll just borrow it and give him credit. He did an excellent job ripping apart these claims that appear to be impossible. And if you take all of them together, it's like, okay, so the Langley story is likely a lie. He couldn't have even seen the craft from where he claimed that he was observing it from. Somebody proved that. The brake lines being cut, well, there's no mention of that in the police. And I think Local 556 is right. They can't hide evidence like that. They could be sued. They could face criminal charges for, tampering with evidence or covering up evidence. There's a lot of problems with this story, a lot of problems. And, I think this pretty much is the nail in the coffin of this guy. But I predict that he'll be making the rounds on all the UFO podcasts, right? Did he not literally say they referred to him as an inside threat? He knows damn well why he lost that clearance. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, just to be clear, if you get drunk and crash your car, you could lose your clearance. If you are talking about classified projects that you're not supposed to be talking about, you could lose your clearance. There's hundreds of reasons why he could have lost his clearance that don't involve some grand government conspiracy because he was talking about aliens or UFOs. So I think this is another of the failed UFO whistleblower attempts. And let's be clear, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are not telling you a story. They're selling you a story. They're making money, in my opinion, taking advantage of a possibly mentally ill or at least very mentally vulnerable man who clearly has some psychotic or delusional, paranoid thoughts about what happened to him. And they are exploiting this man who clearly has some mental issues even by his own admission. He was suicidal. He had post-traumatic stress disorder. He was stressed out completely at his job. Oh, see, there's Arlene. My mom lost her clearance because my dad got in a bar fight in DC. Yeah, I mean, these things happen. So what can we say about this one? Well, this guy is about as credible as a crackhead at this point. And Jeremy Corbell is about as credible as a crackhead. And George Knapp is about as credible as a crackhead. And if you check our archive, if you use the little search tool, you could just search for Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, and you can get a clear education about how many times they've been caught selling completely and totally fake stories. And while we're on that, there's also the clip I can share of George Knapp claiming he knows exactly where the element 115 is buried, right? He knows where the element 115 is buried, and he can dig it up at any time he wants to. Well, you just testified before Congress, George Knapp. Why don't you throw the element 115 down on the table and say, there's the proof, bitches? You didn't do that. You told a bunch of stories. But here he is claiming that he knows exactly where completely and totally smoking gun evidence and proof of alien visitation on Earth is buried, and someday he's gonna dig that up.
Folks are doing, and anti-gravity propulsion is something they want very badly. Bob said that the key to it was this element 115. He had a piece of it. I saw it. In fact, he had a little experiment they did with what's called a cloud chamber, where they had, it looked to me like light. They had a piece of this 115 in this chamber. They put some smoke in it, and it seemed, and then had a beam of light through it, and the light bent. Bob, at one point, when he thought he was going to die, had this piece of 115 in it was in a lead casing, in a disc-shaped casing, and he had it in front of a particle accelerator at his house, and he had the accelerator on, and all he had to do was flip a button. If this stuff was real, as he described it, flipping that button would hit it with, I don't know, it's protons or electrons, whatever it was, that would make it explode, an annihilation that would have left a great big hole in Las Vegas. And he had that piece. I saw the experiment. What happened to it? That's a story for another time. It's in a spot now where nobody could get to it, but it's still there. One of these days, maybe after Bob's gone, I'll go dig it up. The Defense Department folks are doing, and anti-gravity propulsion is something they want very badly. Bob said that
I'm sorry, that one loops. Yeah, so he knows exactly where it's buried, and maybe someday he'll dig it up. Sure, you know exactly where it's buried, and sure, someday you're going to dig it up. Wouldn't the day to dig it up be when you're testifying before Congress, right? You want to prove to those Congress people you haven't been selling fake stories for your entire career, right? George Knapp will never say, here's the proof, bitches, because he has no proof. Yeah. Wait, so this dude had a particle accelerator in his house. Good catch, AQ. Go ask any physicist. You can't have a fucking particle accelerator in your house unless you're a convicted pimp who ran a whorehouse and you're really a fake scientist and you never were a real scientist. Then you would make an amateur hour mistake, like telling George Knapp that you had it in a particle accelerator at your house. A particle accelerator needs miles and miles and miles of space to do anything useful. A real particle accelerator. Now, could you have something like a particle accelerator just as a technology demonstrator in your house? Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to do anything usable with it. So that's another one. His story falls apart. Go ask a physicist. Can you have a particle accelerator in your bedroom? No, you can't. So that the whole story that Bob Lazar told George Knapp that he's mindlessly repeating like a fucking retarded moron monkey, that whole story falls apart to anybody that actually knows about particle accelerators. I hope no one in Congress actually believes him, says Operation Shutdown. Yeah, Bob Lazar lies, says Patty Wilhelm. That is correct. Yeah, so these guys have a proven history of selling completely and totally fake stories. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about anything other than UFO dollars. That's what it's about. Let's get to those UFO bucks, right? And these guys have been caught time and time again. Let's see. The Mosul orb. Yeah, that wasn't a UFO. The 29 Palms pyramid or triangle shaped spaceship. That was flares. And they knew it was flares before they ran with the story. The pyramid swarming the Navy ships. They knew it was drones. The person on the fucking ship says it's drones, you assholes. You erased the audio so that you could come up with a new backstory about pyramid alien spaceships swarming Navy ships, right? Sounds dangerous. No wonder Black Ops take this stuff from these idiots. Yeah, and that's another thing. George Knapp was aware that Bob Lazar was going to blow a big hole in the whole city of Las Vegas with a weapon of mass destruction, and he didn't report anything. And by the way, did you know who reported Bob Lazar for running the illegal whorehouse? George Knapp, great friend George Knapp. Why did you report him for running that whorehouse? Right? Ball-bearing Mosul orb. Yeah. ET's not happy with the leadership of the outside world. Could be Dustin Chance. I don't know. You just make the particles so small they think they are traveling miles. No, that's not how particle accelerators work. So this is just another, in my opinion, of a long line of nothing burger, evidence-free, trust me bro stories from these same two dirtbag scumbags who, they've gotten very rich selling completely and totally fake shit. And they love selling fake stories. Watch.
Are we still on camera? No. Good. Aren't they suckers? They give me so much money for putting this shit out.
Suckers.
I remember when I was a kid and I used to think, I love UFOs, and maybe when I'm older, I can make videos about the stories other people make up about UFOs, and then, make money. What a career. Wow.
What a career. Wow, what a career. Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's a career. All you got to do is have no ethics, no morality, and let's be clear, we've just seen in this story, they're totally willing to take advantage of let's just say a mentally vulnerable man in order to sell their bullshit. Like, he might be suffering from a psychotic breakdown, right? But let's just be dirtballs and scumbags. Yeah, that's right, Al Garay, dirtballs and scumbags, and help him tell his story so that we can make some UFO dollars off of his bullshit and his delusional, paranoid, schizophrenic belief system, right? This kind of shows that they have no ethics. If you have ethics as a journalist, you're not going to take that guy's story at face value. You're going to actually encourage, I at least would encourage the guy to find some kind of, help. He clearly is suffering from some kind of delusional belief system. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just saying, from an outsider looking in my opinion, it seems like he has some severe mental problems and has had some severe mental problems for quite some time. I am going to take a moment to promo tomorrow's show. We've got a great show for you tomorrow. One moment here. Let me get to that. I think we have it. I think we have the thumb. Yeah, we do. All right. So tomorrow, friends, we're going to have a very interesting show. And that is with a guest. We haven't had an interview in quite some time. And this, my friends, is one of those shows that I call an Evel Knievel show. Because some of you are going to show up to hear me yell and scream at this guy and be like, where's your fucking proof and where's your evidence? And there may be some spice and fireworks, but he seems like a very kind man, and I don't want to be unkind to him. So I'm going to ask for the indulgence of the audience tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want you to be kind to this gentleman. I kind of warned him, our crowd is very skeptical, and we're going to want some evidence, and we're going to want some proof, and we're going to want you to back up your claims. We're not going to accept just stories. And he seems to be okay with that. He said, I said, at the very least, we'll have a respectful and fun conversation. And he agrees. So what can I tell you about him? He's a very interesting fellow. He's basically an expert on Chinese UFOs in China. And also on this strange book called the Thea Uba Prophecy. I hope I'm saying that right. And the Thea Uba Prophecy is about a gentleman who claimed that he got abducted by aliens, and then the aliens basically told him all the secrets of the universe. So everything you've ever wondered about, human evolution, ancient history, Atlantis, and, it's one of those books that's kind of like the Urantia book, and it explains and answers all the questions that you may have about anything, religion and Jesus and all. It's very dense, and I'm still trying to read through that book in preparation for the interview. But tomorrow night at 7 p.m., we're going to have this guest, and I just ask you, people in the live chat, just humor him. Let's humor him. I'm going to push him. I'm going to push him for evidence and proof of claims being made. Because I've listened to some of his other interviews, and it seems like he's done a lot of softball interviews with the Believer channels. And by the way, I have tremendous respect for anybody like him that's willing to come here and get grilled. And I'm going to try not to grill him, but I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be kind, but we're going to demand some evidence. Al Garay says, let the fireworks commence. Chill Station 7 wants me to felt him. Echo says, I promise to be nice. Well, he seems like a very nice gentleman, so I don't want to be like unkind to him. You know, I want to be nice to him so that we can get more. Maybe it's better to build some bridges. And I can tell you a little bit about our guest. This guy, Samuel Chong, is actually a motivational keynote speaker, and he talks about things like wellness, resilience, and mindset, leadership, health, well-being, spirituality, near-death experiences, and extraterrestrials, ancient mysteries, and esoteric knowledge. He's actually a lawyer in California and also a certified court interpreter of the Chinese language. And this guy, Samuel Chong, visited Michael Desmarquet, who's the author of the Theo Uba prophecy, in 2016 and 2018. And he was instrumental in arranging for the Chinese publication of this book, which has been a bestseller in both China and Taiwan, which is a very rare phenomenon, I'm told. And he also translated the book Lies, 334 Lies, The Revelation of H.M. Stool, an autobiography of the High Master of the Chair of the Secret Society that was started in Germany. And lately, he dedicates his efforts to promoting the messages in these books in order to give people hope and to promote a better world. He's actually a graduate of UC Berkeley with a Bachelor of Arts in Economics. And he's got a master's degree in financial analysis. And he went to Northwestern California University School of Law with a law degree. And he lives in Los Angeles. He just seems like an interesting, very educated person. And one of the things I will say is I'm always fascinated with the people who really believe in aliens and UFOs being alien visitors when they are super, super well educated. It makes me think, well, this guy's been through all this college. Like, there's got to be a reason he believes in all of this alien stuff. And this guy is one of those true believers. Brandy Phillips, I'm not sure who you're talking about. A lawyer and a motivational speaker, right? How did you get this guy? It's a long story. You know, people contact me and ask him about the Law of One. Yeah, we're going to be asking him about the Law of One, the Urantia book, the Falun Gong cult, and more. And I think he has some excellent insights, especially into anything on the side of China. And he knows a great deal about Chinese history and the Chinese belief system about UFOs. I thought it'd be interesting just to pick his brain. Like, what do Chinese people believe about UFOs? What do they believe about aliens? You know, so we're gonna have an interesting show tomorrow, and I welcome all of you. That will be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I certainly hope that you will, you know, give it a try. We're going to give it a try. We're going to try to build a bridge tomorrow instead of burning them all. Some of you know we have an awfully hard time getting guests here because, deserved or not, I have a reputation for being mean to guests. And, you know, to UFO people, being mean is demanding evidence. I'm going to try to demand evidence as respectfully as possible and proof of claims being made. Yeah, we're going to find out. This will be interesting. I wonder how far back Chinese tales go about UFOs. Yeah, it should be interesting. Chill Station 7 says, come and bring money. Yes. Yeah, China has had UFO crashes too, if in fact they do crash. Yeah. Yeah. Patty says Stephen is not mean. No, I'm gonna be as kind as I possibly can. Yeah. The only thing Stephen has been guilty of is mean tweets. That's right. Sometimes I mean tweet. What are you going to do? Kufol says, I've never seen you out of line, Stephen. We're going to have a fun, spirited conversation. And listen, isn't it an more interesting conversation if the two people having the conversation have two entirely different belief systems? I think so. I think it'll be much more interesting. If the two people have you ever listened to some of these UFO circle jerk podcasts where they both all agree and believe the same exact shit? It's boring. Let's have some spicy conversation, right? But respectfully. And I think that we're going to do that tomorrow. Blackfish chiming in at the last minute with some support. $9.99. Generosity. That's the first time that's happened since we switched back to StreamYard. I de-rezzed for a moment. So thanks to you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, you Kick subscribers. I will check in one last time with the Kick chat. Still no money, no honey, no subs at all on Kick. This is the worst supported stream as far as Kick support goes all year. I'm going to pull a DSP. So we thank you, Blackfish, for your kindness, generosity, and support. We thank all you supporters, whether you're a channel member, whether you're gifting memberships, whether you're a sub on Kick or gifting subs on Kick, a Patreon supporter, buying me a coffee, sending a PayPal pledge. We thank every single one of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. I will take a moment to check in one last time, see if we have any other support to call out. For those unaware, we thank and read every single person. We thank every person sending a super chat, and we're all caught up, I believe. So thank you, Blackfish, for your kindness.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right. DSP would cut off the Kick stream. Yeah, that's what I should do, Ray Gunner. Yeah. And Arlene reminding everybody that you could buy me a beer. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. All right. So we have done our due diligence, and I am going to bounce on out of here. But I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It should be a really fun and interesting show. We haven't had a true believer guest for a while. So, and I call those Evil Knievel shows because half of you are going to show up to see a fun, respectful, good conversation like people would show up to see Evil Knievel make the jump. But I know a lot of you are going to show up to see this whole show turn into a shit show and crash and burn. See me getting frustrated at a lack of evidence and, start grilling him or felting him. But we're going to try to be nice to him. He seems like a very nice individual. And I don't want to be unkind. So we're going to do our best to be respectful and respect his belief system, even if it is faith-based instead of evidence-based. And we'll see where the conversation leads us. So that's all I got for you, friends, for now. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.